And here we go.
I'm getting sick of women asking me, where are the good men at? But you stay in your house every Friday night, you antisocial, you don't respond to DMs, and you got the nerve to be like, where are the good men at? Not in your house. You are a good catch that no one knows about because you spend your time working, going home. Working, going home. You don't do shit. And even when you do shit, you don't socialize. You do not spark invitations. You don't even look inviting, and you're wondering why you can't find no good men. I'm just one of those people that know good men exist. Just so happen he not the postman. He ain't coming to your house. Some of y'all, the only way y'all gonna meet a man is if your toilet stopped up, you call a plumber, and that plumber is him.
What I'm starting to figure out is every guy that I attract all look like criminals.
Is that your type, would you say?
I think so. Like, they all look like criminals.
So what is it about these criminals that's so attractive?
I don't know. It's something about a that look like he on his way to jail that just gets me. Like, I don't know.
When you have a guy friend and he's a great guy, ladies, and you won't date him, do you know what that's like for the guy? It would be like if you went on a job interview, right? And the guy was like, well, Mr. Perkins, this is a great resume. You got the experience we've been looking for. We love your attitude. You're perfect for this job. And we're not going to hire you. Now, we'll probably hire someone who's far less qualified and has a drinking problem. But this is a great resume. Wow. In fact, this is the resume we're going to use to judge all the other candidates. Now, we're not going to hire you ever, but is it okay if we call you every now and then to complain about the guy we do hire? Can we do that?
I'm getting...
Okay, so that's it on that. Real quick. Also, I know somebody had put up, I think, something about recording. This will go online. So, you'll be able to rewatch everything online. So, just to, make sure you understand that. Here are the links. I'll put them in the chat. My chat is crazy now because I am in a weird place.
One of us can do it. Oh, you got it. Okay.
Okay, I got it. So yeah, so just recognize that, go out, like us, follow us on YouTube, please. And as you do that, then you'll be able to see this. It'll probably be up in about 2 weeks or so. Anywho, let's get on to it. So here are our links. If you didn't get them before, this is our main website. And you want to buy some of our cool stuff, you can. We also, a lot of times when we have events, when Lakeisha's around, she actually has t-shirts and other fun things that you can buy because that does help us, when we do our events. If you want to donate, you can go out there and donate, or you can talk to any one of the organizers, especially Sean Williams and or Lakeisha, because they're almost always picking up donations. It's always good to have donations. We generally are doing stuff for free because we basically believe that God will take care of us. So if it's put on your heart to donate, you're more than welcome to do so. You can find us, like I said, on YouTube. You can find us on Instagram. If you want to follow me, every once in a while, I do put up a video that's a little bit different than CSC. So that's it. So let's move on. Message temperature. This is just letting you guys know how I think this particular thing is going to run, especially for the new people. I know a lot of people are Christians, so they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, you're not always talking about Jesus. Oh my gosh, you're going to hell. Okay, well, this is why we tell you in the beginning. So if you feel like that is going to break your little heart, then you can leave now. All right? So because like I told you, God has basically put it upon us to get you married. And sometimes we need to talk about practical things. And sometimes it'll hurt your feelings. That's why the emotion is up. Sometimes it's more cerebral in your mind. And then sometimes it's your lifestyle by what you're doing. Like the first guy that showed, and the people that's been around for a long period of time know that I have said over and over and over again that Christians have to get out of the house, especially ladies have to get out of the house. I don't care if you're an introvert, you have to get out of the house, because what I say is that Amazon does not deliver men. All right. So if you're not getting out of the house, then that is part of your problem. And that's how it goes under lifestyle. Okay. So your lifestyle is hurting you. And once you find your man, you're welcome to go right back in the house and you do what you want to do. But again, this is what the temperature means for all the new people. All right. So we're still in recap mode because God has still put this on my heart. So I am still putting it to you. First of all, are you doing for God? Before we can get into anything else, are you doing for God? Okay. Are you doing all that God has called you to do? And you know this and I don't. All right. So for some of you all, God has called you to work in your church, but y'all ain't doing it. For some of you guys, God has just called you to be a nicer person, but you're not doing it. All right. So that is, are you doing all that God has called you to do? The next thing is, this is what we as CSC are pushing. You should be doing this every day. There is no excuse, especially if you're Christian. There is no excuse to take 15 minutes a day to read one Bible chapter, not a verse. Okay. One full chapter. So a full chapter is like John chapter 1, verses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down to maybe 35 or something like that. That is a chapter, not a verse. You should be taking 3 to 5 minutes of prayer and reflection. And I want you to listen to at least one Christian song every single day where you can praise and worship God. All right. So there's no excuse for this. You should be doing this, get over it. You're not spending time with God. You're not doing anything for God. And then you want God to do something for you. Okay, come on, people. Next one is tithing and giving. Like last night, me and Andre were walking. This lady came up. I didn't really have any low cash on him, but I praise God that he had a little bit of money. He gave her a little bit of money. And me and him talked about it. And he said, he wants to be a giver. And there was a couple other people. Elizabeth, she was talking about how she really wants to be a giver, but she wants to give in certain situations and stuff like that. Christians should be givers. All right. You can't worry about if the person is going to spend it on alcohol or this, that, and the third. You should be giving. Okay. I'm just being real. That should be the mark of a Christian. Tithing is not to CSC. I think about it from my perspective. I have no real reason to tell you to talk about tithe because I do not benefit from it. You do not give me your tithe money. But if you're not tithing, then you are hurting yourself with God. That's just on you. And then again, you want God to bless you, but then you're not doing even the minimum of what you need to do. Volunteering, giving God your time, doing other things for him. If you're not doing these things, again, why should God bless you? Why should he do anything for you? I could go on and on and on about, what blessings I've received since I've been doing more and more work for God. But I'm sure you've probably heard some of your pastors say the same thing. The only thing I can tell you is that by doing it myself, I used to think those guys were full of it. I'm not going to lie. I used to think pastors were full of crap. Oh, give time and do this and do that and tithe and God's going to bless you. I was like, he ain't blessing me. So I was like, I don't get it. But I have found the closer you get to God, the more you're doing for God, the more God blesses you. And it's real. It is absolutely real. So I definitely encourage you to do that. All right. So let's get into it. This is what y'all came for. I know there's a lot of women on the call today because they want to find these menses. All right. So we got to do a review. This is a review right here. Even though I did update the data, this is a review. And I always got to start here because, see, women, y'all listen to all these people out here lying to you, but they don't put up facts. Instead, they just continue to go off their opinions, but they're not putting up facts. We got to put up facts, in order to move along and to get our minds right, because the area that we got to work on is between our ears. It's our minds. We got to get our minds right. So here is the 2020 information. All right. And basically what you can see on the screen is, are there more women than men? Yes, there are more women than men. by about 1%. That's it, 1%. All right. And so like in Georgia, you know, because like I said, where the hub is here in Georgia, and everybody's like, oh, you know, no men in Georgia. Dip, 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 dip. Okay, so it's about 91 men for every 100 women. That's in Georgia. All right. And then they're always like, but they're homosexual or they're in jail and there's just no men. Okay. So according to, you know, again, Wikipedia and the United States Bureau of Justice Statistics and all this other kind of stuff, you will basically see that there are about 87 men for 100 women. So almost 9 to 10, which again means that if you go out with 10 of your friends, one of them might be unhappy, but the other 9 of you should be able to find somebody, which means you cannot use the excuse that there are no men. You have to take that excuse off the table. And the reason why we do these types of things, like I said, and it goes back to even starting up here, is because people tell you certain things that are lies, and then they get your emotions into it, and you tie yourself to those emotions. And so you believe it, when in reality, it's the very thing that's hurting you. So we're at CSC, we're not here for any of that. We are here to help you, to get you clear, and to help you find your person. That is why we exist, okay? So you cannot use the excuse, I can't find no man, ain't no men out here. No, that's bull garbage. There are plenty of men, plenty of them, all right? And even last night, we went to the High Museum. A lot more people should have come out, but we did have a huge amount of people that came out. I think we ran out of over 30 stickers. So at least 30 people or more showed up. I think about maybe 18 of us went to go eat afterward. And when we went to go eat, I think it might have been 8 men for 10 women. I think it was something around there. But there was a lot of men sitting around the table. And I know as we left, almost every man was walking with a woman as, you know, we walked them to their cars. So there were a lot of men out there. So again, we have to get away from this concept of that they're not, you know, good men, that they're not Christian, that they're not loving, that they're not this, that, and the third. We got to get that. We got to take it off the table. Okay, so what we got to go into now is, now that we've done a little bit of a review, is we really have to kind of get into what are we looking for in a person. So yes, I want you to find an attractive person, okay? While there are men here and the men can translate this information, most of the information today, I am going to focus primarily on the ladies, talking directly to them. But the truth is, all this information translates to men just as much as it does to women. But the ladies, one of the things I get all the time from ladies is, I don't want like him. You know, he's not attractive. He's not this, he's not that. Here's the whole thing. I want you all to find attractive people. I want you to have an attractive man in your life, ladies, okay? Because at the end of the day, you know, I don't know your different ages, but at the end of the day, you know, God loves grandchildren, all right? And if you don't like your person, you ain't gonna make no grandchildren, all right? So God wants you to find somebody who's attractive. He wants you all to have a lot of coming together time. And the only way that's gonna happen is if, you know, you think he's cute. So I'm never, ever speaking from a perspective of trying to get you to date ugly men. Another thing that you have to have is you got to have similar values. Okay. You can't be, you know, just totally different, but that doesn't mean that you have to have the same culture. It doesn't mean you have to have the same race or anything like that, but you do need to have similar values. You also have to have similar goals for where you're going. You know, some people in CSC and in life are looking for retirement. You know, a lot of the people that are 50 and up, they're in the retirement place. They're like, look, you know, I just want to, you know, retire at this point. You got people that are in their mid 30s and 40s, and they are still in family. You know, they're still working out their family, trying to make their family happen for themselves. And then you have other people who are starting families, right? So all these things have to line up, because if they don't line up, then it's not going to work. And one of the things that you have to remember is that, you know, your advice can be true. Like if you're listening to somebody on the internet or whatever, and you're listening to them, and you're like, wow, they sound really good, or they sound true. Well, a lot of times that truth is because they're looking at it from a perspective. They're looking at it from a perspective that you may understand. Okay, so even when you think about advice, you have to think about, okay, the person that's giving me this advice, they're giving me this advice from a perspective that I identify with. And sometimes you'll listen to people's perspective or their advice, and then you have to quickly recognize that while some of this sounds good, it's from a perspective that I do not identify with. Okay? So these things change based off the people. And most people don't qualify this. They just start spewing out stuff. And they'll say, oh, you know, all men are garbage, you know, or all women are this, or all blah, blah, blah. And it's from their perspective. And maybe they've never met a good man. Maybe they've never met a good woman. But that's why we're here to talk about this today. But again, those people, you can't listen to them too much. You know, I didn't put this on here, but we talked about this so many times. The Bible says, do not go to an angry person, because you will learn their ways. All right. So high emotional people who are constantly, you know, yamming at you will actually destroy you, according to the Bible. So you don't want to just hang out with anybody. Okay. So as we're starting to go in, as we're starting to make this move, all right, one of the first things is we have to make sure that we are healed from trauma. Okay. And trauma can show up in so many different ways. For instance, there was one video a long time ago with Steve Harvey, and him and Oprah Winfrey were going through this lady's list of things that she wanted. And one of the things that she said that she wanted on her list was she did not want this a guy that watched sports. And the reason why she was saying that was because a guy that she dated, all he did was watch sports, and he ignored her. All right. So what she did was, see, this is not some trauma of her being beat up or emotionally abused or anything like that. This is something that she noticed in one guy out of millions and millions and millions of men, and then said, you know what? If I run into another guy who watches sports, I'm done. So that became a little bit of trauma for her. And now she's bringing that past with her. So the next guy is being judged before he even gets started. And we have to remember that as we go through life, every single person that comes to us brings us pain, a little bit of pain, just a little bit. Okay. Everybody that's dating us is doing a little bit of damage, even though they don't mean to, they're just doing a little bit. I mean, even the wind to a degree can bring damage to a tree. But at the same time, that same wind shakes off the branches, you know, that are stuck, you know, that are dead and need to be released, that are stuck in the tree. Okay, so we have to remember that, you know, yes, our past can be a little bit of pain, but we also have to remember that, you know, we have to shake those things off and we have to move forward. We also have to remember that pain creates more pain. If you bring pain in, you will create more pain. And we've been talking about a shift for the new people. You can go watch the video on YouTube about shifting. That's really important for you to watch if you're going to hang out with us. Okay, so the person before you is not the person behind you. You cannot judge the person that you're with now based off of the things of the past. If you do that, everything is just going to fall apart for you. It's never, ever going to work for you. So you cannot do that. You have to see the person as brand new. See the person as, oh, I don't know what they're going to do. Oh, they like sports? Well, they might be great watching sports. It might be fun watching sports with them. You know, they might only watch maybe one game a year. You have to have that attitude. And it's going to come out in the discussions, honestly, what ladies and men have not healed from that because you're going to tell on yourself. Okay. Then we have to stop claiming things that do not work. Okay. We had, talked about this briefly last night. Independent means alone. Stop saying I'm an independent woman. All right. If you are under 60 years old, I understand there was a time where women literally could not buy a house. They literally could not have credit. I understand that. But that was like 50, 60 years ago. So if a man is 60 years old, he doesn't remember those days. Nobody remembers those. And the reason why people keep saying it is because your mom or your grandmother passed that pain to you. They passed that pain to you, and you're still sitting around talking about, I'm an independent woman. We know you're independent. You grown. It has a totally different meaning now. The meaning now means you're alone. So stop saying it. Stop thinking about it. All right? And the final thing I want to bring up right here is stop hating yourself. Some of you all really, whether you recognize it or not, you don't like yourself. And it's evident you don't like yourself because what you do is you date people that don't look like you. They don't act like you. They don't move like you. In fact, they're almost totally opposite of you. And if you're doing that, then there's a little bit of self-hate in you. There's just a little bit of self-hate. And you might not really recognize it, but on the next slide, we're going to talk about it. All right. So a lot of people have seen this, me talk about this before, that every person is beautiful. Because like these are African Americans in the middle, but we're going to talk about it with the dogs first, right? Because nobody has emotions based off dogs. Well, hopefully most of you guys don't. So if you like, for instance, Yorkies, I think this is a Yorkie right here, and you see a Yorkie, most Yorkies look alike, right? So if you see a Yorkie, you're like, oh my God, you're a cute little Yorkie. Oh my gosh, this guy's a cute little Yorkie. I just love Yorkie, blah, 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 blah. But then you have other people who love pit bulls. And when they see a pit bull, they say, oh, this is a pit bull. I love the pit bull. You're just a cute little pit bull. But people that like Yorkies don't necessarily like pit bulls. See, it's a different perspective based off of the type of dog that you like. But what happens many times is, as we're looking at humans, we're kind of like breeds, okay? And when you look at even most African Americans come from, the West Coast, of Africa. I mean, you got to know your history. So we look a lot like the Nigerians, but we don't look exactly like them, right? So one of the problems that people have is that they will look like something, attract the thing that looks like them, but then they want to talk to somebody who totally doesn't look like them. Like right here, these are East Africans. Okay, so this is going to be, Far East. You talk about like Somalia and Eritrea and different things like that, right? And you might have people that are Black and they're saying, well, I really want to talk to them. But you can look at those pictures and see they look different. Now, I'm not saying you can't talk to these people. I'm not saying you shouldn't talk to these people. What I'm saying is, if you are saying that these group of people are more attractive than who you are, there's a little bit of self-hate in you. And you need to recognize that. Because some people are sabotaging themselves because they keep going after something else that something else has been trained to like itself. It's kind of like that whole statement of, they say, birds of a feather flock together. Well, that's the whole concept. The concept here is that 9 times out of 10, African Americans should be more attracted to African Americans. 9 times out of 10, people in the Ivory Coast should be more attracted to people in the Ivory Coast. 9 times out of 10, white Americans should be more attracted to white Americans. Doesn't mean that you can't talk, like I said, across different races. We're not saying that, all people aren't beautiful. My point is everybody's beautiful. But we need to make sure that there's no self-hate. And what I've even seen a lot of times in interracial relationships is a lot of times the features of the people, the skin color might be different, but the features of the people is very similar. Like my little niece, she's dating a guy and he is, white, and they look alike though. It's crazy. They look alike. And she's darker than me, but they look alike. When you see them together, they have almost the same face structure and everything. So you can see how they see each other as attractive. Because even though they're not the same race, they have so many features that are the same. So my point is we have to make sure that we like ourselves, because the very people who generally are going to like you are going to look a little bit like you. So when we say things like, oh, okay, well, I'm not attracted to, blah, blah, blah. Well, you got 50 dudes trying to talk to you that look this way, but then you're saying, well, nobody likes me. And what you're really saying is nobody that I like likes me. And so we have to really go deeper and say, well, why don't you like the people that look like you? Why don't you like the people that like you? Because if you don't like the people that like you, okay, and there are good looking people that like you, then again, we need to, address that. We need to think about that. So, now that we've gotten away from that, let's talk about picky versus standards, because this is the new buzzwords in the dating community. They're always saying that women are, picky, and then women are saying, no, I have standards. So we need to kind of understand what's the difference. So a standard is saying, hey, I want him Christian, I want him respectful. I've already told you guys I want the guy to be attractive. So let's not get into that phase. I want him to be educated or of a similar background. I want him to be a non-smoker because I'm a non-smoker. I want him not to drink because I don't drink. I want him to be a good spouse, a good father, a good mother. Okay, those are standards. Picky is I want him 6 inches taller than average. Or for a guy, he might say, well, I want her to be really curvy. Hair texture, hair type, facial color, skin color, eye color. That's being picky. You got a guy right in front of you and, oh, he doesn't have the eye color you want. So what does that have to do with anything? He can only be 5 years older than me. He has to be fun, adventurous, ambitious. He has to speak a certain way. So for instance, if you ran into a guy that talked a little bit more like this, and now you're saying that you wouldn't talk to him, then you're being picky. That's picky. All right. And then the reason why I'm showing this guy up here is because it's the same guy, if y'all haven't figured that out. But, here he has a small shirt on, here is a medium shirt, large, extra large. This is his style. This has nothing to do with him. Nothing to do whether or not he's a good or bad person. Okay, so if you're always picking these half-naked people and Instagram modelist type people, then you are basically putting yourself up or setting yourself up, to hurt unless you look like them. Now, if this guy wants to talk to her, well, they look alike. But if you don't look like them and you're trying to talk to them, okay, again, you're kind of being picky, and then you have to be realistic. Okay? So we are basically going to talk, and, you can sing along in your head to one of my favorite artists, Taylor Swift. And she has this really great song that says, I knew you were trouble. And I love Taylor because Taylor's been through so much in her life when it comes to dating, but she's very open and honest about her dating life. In fact, she laughs all the time that says a new relationship, a new song. But in this particular song, she's basically saying, okay, I knew he was bad. He had every sign that he was bad, but I chose him anyway. And so now the pain of it and the shame is on me. Okay, and now she's saying at the very end, I'm lying on the cold, hard ground. I'm hurt, but I knew he was trouble. I knew I should have left him alone. But I went in anyway because he excited me. He was my quote unquote type. But see, nobody really, I don't think a lot of people start off as choosing the bad guy, quote unquote, in the beginning. I think what happens for a lot of women is they end up talking to these bad guys because they think that they're exciting, or maybe the bad guy came up to them or something like that. But the danger with hanging around with bad guys is that it becomes addictive. That energy that they have becomes addictive. In fact, no matter what situation is, if you're around somebody long enough, that energy that you're around will become addictive. Okay, so it matters who you hang out with. It matters who you talk to. It matters how much time you spend with people because they do have an effect on you. And you cannot use the excuse, oh, I didn't know. Oh, I didn't know. Because I truly believe that if I put all of you in a room with 100 different, for the ladies, 100 different men, but you couldn't see them. They were all wearing man burqas. So they all had their man burqa. You could not see them, but you could talk to each one of them for 30 minutes. They could see you, and they talk to you like they normally would. I actually think most of the women would quickly understand who are the bad guys and who are the good guys. But if you are still, once they show themselves and stuff like that, you're still like, well, I want the bad guys. Again, you are doing your own problem. You are Taylor Swifting. And if that's your life, then hey, good for you, but we're trying to get you out of that mindset and get you where you can find some really great people. So here's the cycle. So I've said all of this to get you to this point of the cycle. So what is the cycle? You're lonely. You desire a relationship. What do? You seek comfortable traits that you're used to. We love to say it like things like, we were vibing. We had really good energy. There was the spark, right? Those are all the words that we use to say we're seeking comfortable traits. We're seeking somebody that we're used to. So we get in love and we have a little bit of comfort. But guess what? Our desires and our needs are not met. So we break up and then we heal and we have these new rules, which is really new hurt. And I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. And then we do it all over again. Okay, so this is a cycle. This is a cycle, right? So we need to understand it. So one of the issues as well, as we start to go deeper now, is that everybody has a past. And a lot of people are trying to heal from that past. But you need to be realistic about yourself. Just like I talked about, a lot of people have a little bit of hurt in themselves, a little bit of hate in themselves. Well, there could be some sensitive things going on. If you had a dad in your life and he was a crappy dad, that could be doing some damage. If you did not have a dad and now you're basing your whole understanding of men off of an uncle or a brother, that has done damage. If you did not have an uncle or brother and you basing everything about your life on a boyfriend, that could be doing damage. All right. So all these things could be doing damage to you. Now, at the same time, while my background, for those that don't know me, my background is in media. All right. And I'm constantly telling people, especially the women, that men do not act like the men in movies. Okay. Real men, 9 times out of 10, we don't act like that. We might have a moment. We might have one day where we might act like, some of these really wonderful guys. But it really don't work that way. So if you are waiting on a notebook experience, a walk to remember, if you're waiting for one of these great moments and a great guy who acts like that and happens to be muscular and happens to have perfectly groomed hair and happens to say all the right things and happens to, when he walks, literally music plays, then you might be waiting a very long time. And it's easy to say, oh, I'm not like that. I'm realistic. I'm this, that, I'm the other. But, I've had enough conversations with a lot of men and women to let me know that some of us still have our head in the clouds. and we need to understand it. But we also need to understand, like I say, why do we like these people? Why are we like this? Why are we seeking, like the lady said in the video, why is she attracted to the guy who looks like he is on his way to jail? That's why I showed y'all that clip, because the lady is literally saying, I'm attracted to men who look like they're on their way to jail. And the reason why more than likely she's attracted to that is because maybe her boyfriend at high school ended up going to jail, or maybe a guy she had a crush on ended up going to jail, or maybe her dad or her brother went to jail. And so her mind can't turn off the fact that these guys that go to jail are not good guys. She's still not able to turn that off. And that's why I was saying that all of these things are addictive. They're addictive, and they will cost you your life. All right, we've been talking about that too. Bad choices with bad men will cost you your life. That's what the Bible says. I think it's Proverbs 6 or 7 that talks about that. Okay, so here's the next big thing, because like I said, we're about to get just to some base core stuff you can do, but I need to make sure that you understand what could be going on in your own system. Because if you are not fully seeing the world, and that's one of the things that I see with a lot of women, is that they don't see the world, right? So one of the issues is that we a lot of times will find takers instead of finding givers. And takers love to find givers. They have no problem with finding givers. So, and the reason why is because takers, it is impossible for takers to be in relationship with takers. So what's a taker? So, like I say, for the new people, what's a taker? A taker is a person that, let's say y'all are hanging out in the house and you get up and you cook dinner. I'm not saying it has to be a woman. A man can cook dinner too. So, you cook dinner and then you come back and then, y'all eat or whatever, and then there's plates on the table. And then you look at him, he looks at you, and then you pick up the plates and then you put them in the sink. And then, again, he's looking at you, you're looking at him, and you're like, well, dang, so now you wash the dishes, and then the light bulb blinks and it goes out. And then the guy looks at you and he's looking at you like, ain't you gonna fix the light bulb? And so now you're looking at him like, okay. And so you get up and you fix the light bulb. Basically, you're doing everything. He's not doing anything. Now, I'm going to be fair, and I will say, ladies, that, because a lot of women understand this energy. They understand this giver, giver, giver energy. But I am being honest with you when I tell you that there are just as many women who are takers as there are givers. If you ever watched the TV show Wife Swap, a lot of the women that were on Wife Swap were takers. They were spoiled little brats that, some man thought they were cute, so they were doing everything for them. And it was interesting to see those women because a lot of times they had never worked. They had never really done anything. And they were just takers. Okay, so takers understand what givers look like, and they know the questions to ask. Like a taker is not going to get up to dating and then not ask the questions of, can you give me what I want? Every single taker is going to very politely, kindly, sweetly, flirtily find out if you're willing to give them what they want. They have no problem with doing it because they're takers and they know they can't be with another taker, so they have to make sure you're a giver. Takers understand that beauty and words are power. So they will get in your head because you think they're cute, or they will get in your head by using words. Whatever they think can work, they're going to use it to get in your head because takers understand that. The new movement of the narcissist, and not all narcissists are definitely, are 100% takers, so I don't want to lean into that. But people talk about how narcissists understand the words to say. They understand what to talk about. They understand how to manipulate. And so takers kind of understand that as well. They might not be as heavy on a person as a narcissist, but they do understand how to use these things in order to get what they want. Okay, but sooner or later, no matter how much of a giver you are, you will soon get tired of a taker. Because sooner or later, that energy is just going to it's going to basically flow away, and you are just going to be stuck with that taker. So be very careful of givers versus takers. Now, before I go any further, again, I want to make sure I just talk about this. This is in the Bible for those that don't know it, and you need to put your name right there. Put your name right there, okay? You got to own it. Own it. As a dog returns to their vomit, so a fool returns to their folly, okay? If you are in this cycle, if you say things like, I've never found a good person, okay, I've never dated a really great person, I have such a hard time finding good people, blah, 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 then this and this is you. Because there are great people out here, you're just not seeing them for whatever reason. And a lot of times that reason is because you're trying to make something work that was never meant to work. You're trying to turn a person that is someone who will hurt you into someone who will help you. Meanwhile, like the guy said in the video, you have a great person next to you that you might have friend zoned, and that person is the type of person you should be looking for, but then you decide, well, no, I am going to play Taylor Swift and continue to be out here and find these jerks. So let's now focus on finding your person. Let's not focus on the past. Let's not deal with the buildup. Let's get into finding your person, right? So the very first thing you need to understand is, what do you want? Or what do you need? Because your needs and wants are two totally different things. You need a little bit of your wants, and you need a little bit of your needs. So let's make this practical for a second. God has called me into CSC, as he's called many of the organizers in CSC. And many of us know that God has literally told us that this is where he wants us. So I know I cannot leave CSC until God himself says, Joseph, I want you out of CSC. I want you to pass it to somebody else. Until he says that to me, I'm in CSC. I'm 100% in CSC. What does that mean? That means that I could have the most beautiful woman in the world come up to me tomorrow, and I don't know what your definition of beauty is. I don't know if it's Jennifer Aniston. I don't know if it's Beyonce. I don't know if it's Rihanna. I don't know who it is. But whoever your definition of beauty, if that woman came up to me and she was nice and she was kind and me and her were laughing at all the same jokes, she might be what I want. But then if I tell her, I'm like, well, God has called me to do CSC, and, he really wants me to do this, and it's a singles group, so you have to trust me that I'm going to do the right thing for my singles. And then she's like, well, those singles, they're going to call you away, and you're going to end up dating one of them. And so, if you're going to do that singles group, you can't be with me. And if she talks like that, then I have to say, you are not what I need. Because I need someone who is going to support the very ministry that the Lord God has given me. So we have to understand that we got to get away from picking partners based off worldview, based off what our friends will think, because some of us do that, or how attractive we think the person is. Okay? And ladies, this is especially for you. Are you being picked? Oops, sorry. Are you picking? I should have been saying, are you picking? My bad. Or are you being picked? So what's the difference? And this comes up a lot in CSC. So being picked is basically you sitting back, you're going through life, a guy comes up to you and he wants to talk to you, and then you talk to him. That's being picked. Picking is saying, oh, well, I see, Mr. Tunde, he comes out, he's, nice guy, he's decent looking. He treats most of the women, I think, nice. And so then, you know, you come to an event and you sit next to him and, you know, you try to spark conversation, things like that. I mean, I'm not saying you got to ask him out. I'm not saying you got to give him your number. What you're doing is positioning yourself. That's what we talk about in CSC all the time, positioning yourself. Now, I can't go into everything CSC today because I'll be here for the next 4 hours. But that is, you know, but that's why those videos are out there on YouTube, so you can go and watch the video. So you need to basically, if somebody from the organizational team will re-put out the link, you need to go out there, subscribe today. We have a lot of really great videos. Anywho, when you're positioning yourself, and when you say, people be like, well, the Bible says that a man that findeth, you know, a woman findeth a good thing and all this kind of stuff. Okay. So that's one verse in Proverbs. I really suggest you go and read the entire book of Ruth. Because when you read the entire book of Ruth, it encourages women to have a strategy and to pick the man that they want. Okay, so you can listen to a verse or you can listen to a book. And always remember, Ruth is in the lineage of Jesus. And women were not talked about in the Bible that much. So for her to be in the lineage of Jesus and to have a book should be a very powerful thing. But many times it's looked over. But anyway, I'm not saying you have to do everything. Remember, Boaz did the work. He did most of the work. But she positioned herself to say, I want to talk to you. All right. So I just encourage you to take a little bit of control of your life and not just sit back to be picked, because this is one of the problems where a lot of women find jerks, because most men don't move that way. And we'll get a little bit into that later, but most men do not move that way. Anyway, a lot of times, like with dogs, and I'll use the dogs a lot because, you know, people get, it's a little bit easier for people to understand. So people go out a lot of times and then they pick dogs. Like when I pick a dog, the dog cannot be scared of me. I love dogs. I absolutely love dogs. And I picked puppies before. If I go out to a litter of puppies, I do not want the one with the energy. I don't want them. Like Annabelle has a beautiful dog. I can see his dog in the picture. And I don't know anything about your dog. But if you are that guy or woman who is outside and they're throwing the Frisbee and, you know, or you live on a farm, an energetic dog is awesome because you're that person. You're energetic. But I'm not energetic. I'm not going to be outside throwing Frisbees. I'm going to be doing work. So I need a dog that can self-soothe. So I'm looking for a dog that's chill, that's relaxed, that's calm. So when I go to a litter of puppies, I'm looking for the calm puppy. If the dog barks as I walk away, because I will always walk away from the dog. If the dog barks, they have failed. I will not pick you up. You will not be my dog because I do not like loud dogs. If I pick the dog up and play with it, and it's and it starts peeing on itself, urinating, I will not pick that dog. I will not pick a scary dog. So what I'm saying here is that, ladies, you have to evaluate these guys. Are they doing the things that you want them to do? You know, like I said, a scared puppy might urinate on your carpet literally forever. And I have seen it. Going over to people's houses and their dog, every time I walk in, the stupid dog looks at me and starts peeing. And then the owner's running behind them, you know, oh, I'm sorry. And then they're wiping up the urine. But here's the whole thing. Sooner or later, your house is going to stink. And then what you're going to do is you're going to blame it on the dog. Like, and not dog, that particular dog, you're blaming it on all dogs. I don't like dogs because dogs make your house stink. No, they don't make your house stink. Choices made your house stink. When people came into my house with my dogs, they would always be like, you got a dog? It don't smell like a dog in here. Ain't no dog bark when I walked in here. but it was because of my choices. I picked the dog that was right for me. It might have not been the strongest dog. Maybe there might be some coloring that I like if, say, for instance, if I really liked the coloring on this dog around his nose, all the little black around his nose, well, it looks scared. Look at his ears. I might be like, you gonna pee on my couch. You know, and this one looked like he's full of energy. He's just gonna run around. So I might have to pick this one. And this one might not look exactly like I want, but it's a better dog for me. Okay, I can't say it's a good dog for you. I can just say it's a good dog for me. And this is why it's so important for you to know what you want. Okay, so you got to pick the right puppy. If you're gonna, not every person is the same. Okay, look at all these different types of dogs. All dogs do different things. Okay, same thing, these guys down here. You got some tall guys, you got some short guys. You got this guy that looks like he might be cool. This guy looks like he might like to laugh a little bit more. These two guys look a little bit more serious. You got to find the person that works for you, okay? And not every person is the same. And I keep telling women this over and over again, okay? There are more shy, quiet men than assertive. And the whole thing is, why do you even need an assertive man? Can you handle an assertive man? Okay, can you walk? Can you handle the walk that the man has in his life? Okay. And it's just like I was saying before. If you look at me, if you look at Tashawn, if you look at Sean Williams, okay, we're just some of the organizers of CSC. And me and Sean have talked about it before because a lot of times, these singles groups, many times have more women than men. And we both have had to deal with women kind of saying, well, when now that you got me, ain't you gonna get out of that group? And we're both like, no, we ain't leaving, we ain't going nowhere. So those women are not meant for us because they can't handle our walk. It doesn't matter how much they like us. You can't handle me. And it's not saying in a bad way, okay, because there might be some things that I can't handle in another person. This is not insecurity. This is not fear or anything like that. This is saying that the walk I'm going to do, I need a woman that's going to line up with that walk. And the same thing, if a woman has a certain walk in her life, she needs a man that's going to handle that. For Tashawn, if she ends up with a guy that comes to her the same way, like, well, you got to lead that little crappy CSC group. And then Tashawn is like, no, I made a promise to God that I wasn't going anyway. Okay, so if the man can't handle that, then he got to move on. Okay, same thing with this one. Okay, most men are under 6 feet. Is 6 feet a necessity or is it a desire? Some women talk about this. We've talked about this a million times. The reason why I'm saying it is because, again, I find that sometimes women will pass up over a good guy because of this. And my question is always the same. If you looked at Tom Cruise and you see Tom Cruise on television, or you look at Lil Bow Wow, for, some of the black people, and you say, oh, that's an attractive guy. I like the way Tom Cruise looks. He's very attractive. He keeps himself up. He's assertive, blah, 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 blah. You meet him in person, Tom Cruise is short. So now if you meet him in person and you happen to be 5'8", and I don't know exactly how tall Tom Cruise is. I want to say he's like 5'7". But if you meet him in person and you're 5'8", but you find him attractive, why can't you talk to him? If he wants to talk to you. And you'll have women that say, no, I can't talk to him. Why? Because he's an inch shorter? You found him attractive when he was on TV. But now that he's in person, he's 1 inch shorter than you, and he has everything that you're looking for. Why are you worried about that? Well, I got to wear my heels. Okay, you can wear your heels. Well, I'll be taller than him. Okay, well, who cares? Do your friends care? Do you care? Because while I'm not saying you cannot find a taller man, and again, I'm not tripping on that. But what I'm talking about is true attraction. True attraction is like you're looking at a picture, you're like, wow, that's an attractive person. And then now you're with them and you're saying, oh, they're a little too tall, oh, they're a little short. See, at that point, you're getting a little picky. See, those are two totally different things, being attracted and being picky. And so what you can do is you can be trying to put these extra little caveats and you can hurt yourself. And it's really because you're concerned about what your friends got to say. instead of worried about the fact that you're only going to see your friends probably over your house or whatever, you know, a couple times a year. And at the end of the day, especially if all of them are single, shoot, you could be like, girl, I got a man and you don't. So go home, you know, and watch some romantic comedies and make yourself feel better. Because I got a man in the house. We got romance going on in the house. Does money matter more? All right. Why do I bring this up? Because we literally have to talk about this. I actually thought about putting some videos up, but, you know, I didn't want to, you know, talk too much about it today. But there are women in the group that are in love with money. I'm just going to be real. You're in love with money, and that is stopping you. Does his heart matter more? Does his speech matter more? Are you alpha or beta? You know, are you the type of woman that's a go-getter? Are you the type of woman that is more chill? Are you a traditional leaning? Are you modern leaning? Are you an introvert, an extrovert, or ambivert? These things matter. Okay. If you're an introvert and you got with somebody that's basically an ambivert, like I'm more of an ambivert, but I lean towards extrovert, then I can handle an introvert as long as she is not extremely introverted. So as long as she's not extremely introverted, I can handle an introvert. But if you have an extreme introvert, they can't be with an extreme extrovert. You know, that's not going to work. So this is why you have to pick the right puppy. You have to know what you're looking for. If you don't know what you're looking for, if you cannot write down on a piece of paper the type of man that you're looking for, you'll never find it. You'll be going around in circles. And I'm not talking about the picky stuff, and I'm not talking about the basic, you know, standards. I'm talking about things about his personality, about his look, about his energy. And again, there's a huge difference between saying, oh, I like a beard on a man versus I don't like a beard versus will you talk to a man with a beard or without a beard? Even if a woman likes a beard, you should still know if a man is attractive without the beard and be willing to talk to him, because you never know, he might grow a beard. I mean, I don't keep my beard the same way all the time. I got pictures where I just had a goatee. I have pictures where I just had a mustache. I've had a couple of times where I just shaved it all off just for the heck of it to do something new. So you got plenty of men that might change their look up. So just because they got a beard one day, I knew a guy that grew out a big old beard. He had a Santa Claus beard. He had invested hundreds of dollars into all the moisturizing and stuff like that. And then I saw him about 4 months ago. He shaved it all off. So don't get caught up too much. That's what I'm trying to get you guys not to get caught up. But what you do have to do is look at the core elements of what you're looking for him to have, and then position yourself in order to get him. So let's move on. Okay. This is really important. We talked about this. Last night was our test for a lot of ladies. Okay, we do jazz every once in a while and or First Fridays here in Atlanta. For the subs, Charlotte, New York City, and Birmingham, we'll do different events. And when we're doing those events, those are your test times. Anywho, ladies, you have to gear yourself, teach yourself to see men. Because generally, ladies, you guys kind of walk around with blinders on. You know, y'all will be, oh, you know, blah, 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 blah. And real quick, you know, the thing I try to tell you is that you have to see. You've got to look around you. You have to see, and not just see the man, but you got to see the potential in the man. And I'm not saying when you're dating him, see the potential. I'm talking about in that moment. And the reason why I say that is because you could have a guy, he could have just came from the gym. So he's sweaty, he's nasty, you know, he's got a t-shirt on, and then you see him, you're like, ugh. And then now you're looking away, and this guy could be a guy that wears suits every day. So you can't make a judgment in 3 seconds on a guy, whether or not he's good or bad, in, you know, just that quick moment. And a lot of women do that. So you all need to see the men and give them a little bit of extra right there in the beginning. All right. You need to know if your picker is broken. All right. This is the issue with a lot of women, like the woman before, where she was talking about she's attracted to men that go to prison. Her picker is broken. Because the belief in her mind is that one of these prison men, they're going to come out and then they're going to find Jesus or whatever, and then we're going to find ourselves and it's going to be perfect. And when we first started CSC, we had a lot of women honestly talk like that. Like there was women that would say all Christian men were boring. All Christian men were dumb and dull. I mean, we literally had people saying stuff like that. But they didn't understand that their picker was broken. So for them, the qualities of a good, strong Christian man, they saw as horrible qualities. A guy that's going to be there, a guy that's not playing games, a guy that's, straight up, a guy that's not always flirting, but he's trying to find out who you are and what you need. They were thinking that's wrong and it's weird and it's awkward. But they didn't recognize that their picker was broken. Okay? You have to understand that a lot of men are quiet or shy, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I'm constantly telling women about it because you see me, and I'm out here, and I'm over this group, and I'm constantly talking in this group, and this group has over 4,000 members in 4 cities, and I'm always in front of people. I have done films. I don't know if you guys probably can't see it on the wall, but I actually have some of my stuff that I've done on the wall. I have won awards for direction in filmmaking and for writing and producing. I won awards for photography and things like that. But when I get around women, I'm shy. And the reason why I'm shy is because it's not that I won't talk, is because I was married. I literally married my college sweetheart, and I never built up the skills to really know how to talk to women out and about. Because everything is just experience and building skills. So at 18, I found the person I was going to marry. I married her. And it wasn't until I was divorced that I was like, oh, crap, I don't know how to talk to women. All right. And then women were passing me up because they would think, oh, well, he's weird and he's shy and he's this. And then they would see me in some place like CSC. And then they're like, oh, well, you're a whole nother different person. And I'm like, well, yeah, you judged me based off of what you thought. But a lot of shy guys, when it comes to women, are not shy when it comes to the world. They're not shy when it comes to business. They're not shy when it comes to everything else. And honestly, ladies, you really kind of want a guy who's not out there like that, because guys who have experience in talking to women generally enjoy the process of talking to women. And many of those guys are not trying to turn that off when they marry you. All right. So, the whole thing is like when you're out and about, is this another thing? Don't use your friends as a force field. Women love to do this. They go out with 5 women and they sitting right in the middle, and 5 women are their force field hovering around them as a force field. Okay, so don't do that. Don't be in places and you're always looking at your phone, because you don't want to look like you're looking around and making eye contact with people. You're just looking at your phone. Okay, when you're out and about, and especially if you're looking for guys, like if you're going out to like the event last night that we did here, your job, quote unquote, at that particular moment was not to look at your phone. It was to actually be making eye contact with men and to try to talk to them. Okay, also be friendly. You don't have to give your information to everyone. If a guy is rude, that has nothing to do with you. That has all to do with him. All right, but you can be friendly to everybody. All right. So try to make eye contact, try to look at them, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So here's some meat for you ladies, and all of you ladies need to take this down and write this down. Write it on your hearts, take a picture of it with your phone, whatever you got to do. I'm not sure where you're at. You can do a screenshot on your computer, because this is, I think, the key. The next 3 slides are the key of what a lot of you came to this particular session for. You need to slow down. This is one of the things that I'm starting to recognize with a lot of women, is that they really, really, really need to slow down. When you are starting to talk or date, this is an evaluation time. As people say, dating means data. All right? You're gathering data. You are evaluating the guy. What you do not want to do, and I have seen women do this, is a guy takes you out, you haven't been out in forever, he's handsome, he's talking to you, he's charming, He pays for the date. Oh my gosh, he paid. I didn't have to go Dutch girls. He paid. Oh my gosh. And then the next day he paid again. And maybe he did something sweet, like just brought you like one rose. And now you're like, oh my gosh, I found my husband. All right. And you've known him for 10 days. And you allow the oxytocin to flow in. And now it becomes hard for you to see the red and yellow flags. You're giving away your heart too quick. You want to kiss and more. You want this guy to have access to everything. All right? But you can't do it because you're evaluating the guy. See, he might look good on the outside, but that doesn't mean he's good on the inside. And you need time for the bad guy to come out. And most people, they'll come out. It doesn't take long. Most people are going to beat themselves very quickly. But when that oxytocin flows in, you know, that desire to be and lock in on this guy comes in too quick, then what's going to happen is you're not going to see all the signs. And you have to allow yourself to watch. And why am I saying this? And the same thing when I'm talking about how to find a good man. How to find a good man, most of it, ladies, is how to avoid bad men. That's really it. If you can avoid bad men, you're naturally going to find good men. Like there was one lady, well, actually two ladies that I dated, and both of them said they only date good men. They say they have never dated bad men. Every single man that they've dated, they might have not been for them, but they were good men. Why were they able to say that? Because they recognize the signs of bad men. And like my ex, she would never talk to any guy that was smooth. If he had a smooth way of talking, she would not talk to him. She always assumed those were the worst guys. And she said a lot of those guys tried to talk to her, but as soon as they came over, hey, baby, how you doing? You looking cute. Oh, I love that outfit. Blah, 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 blah. As soon as that guy walked in, nope, get out of my face. She was nice to them, but she would never give them her number or anything like that because in her mind, he was just a little too smooth. In her mind, it just didn't compute. Okay, and I know that we live in a society that, you know, like I said, leans towards all these romantic feelings. But again, you got to learn how to get rid of the bad guys so that you can focus in on the good guys. Okay? And I'm not talking about what I would consider for ladies. I'm not talking about what I would consider to be losers. Okay? A loser is totally different, okay, than the guys I'm trying to get you to attach to. A good guy, a guy that's going to be respectful, a guy that's going to be kind, a guy that you think is attractive, a guy that you want to rip his clothes off and do horrible, ungodly things that God will love if you're married to. That guy exists, but we got to get you finding him versus finding the other ones. So we have to make sure that you go slow when you meet these guys. And then when you see the traits of bad guys, okay, that you push those guys away. Okay. And you know, ladies, look, you know, we're going to talk, you know, to the guys. I'm always talking to the guys about paying for at least a few dates. And I know some of y'all like, you know, they don't pay for dates. They don't do this. They don't do that. That's an argument for them. That's a discussion for them. You know, we're going to try to focus on, you know, not the easy to see things, right? So what you're looking for is these guys, like I say, to be respectful, to be, you know, open and honest, to be reaching out to you, to be talking to you, to have a desire to want to know you, not to flirt with you, but to know you. That's really important that you have that, those types of things, right? So here's the one thing that I've noticed about people, and this is actually a true testimonial. This is from Lisa. We talk about Lisa. She hasn't shown up in a while, but that's okay. because one of my beliefs is that everybody on this call is probably one, maybe 2 steps away from finding their person. Generally speaking, we're all just making 1 or 2 mistakes, and that is the thing that is stopping us from finding our person. Excuse me. So the people that have been around for a long time, they know who Lisa is. We had a long conversation one day to try to really understand what her particular problems were just for her. And she just had an issue where she was always going after the guy that was lazy. And she basically had takers in her life. And she had never really had a giver. And so what happened was we were constantly trying to get her to understand what a giver looks like. And one of the things that was really interesting that came up, and this is a lot of ladies probably will understand, is that she was like, well, I don't want a guy giving me anything, whether it's money or help around the house, because if he does, he might want to sleep with me. And I told her straight up, if he's a man and he likes you, he wants to sleep with you anyway. I was like, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's normal. That's natural. Get over it. We've had a lot of conversations about sex, over the time we've been in here. If you are offended, that are new about the fact that we're talking about sex like that, then maybe this is not your group, okay? Because sex is normal. It is natural. God loves sex if it's done the right way. So, but if the desire is not there at the very beginning, okay, it might not ever be there. Okay, so when with her, she did not want the guy to have the twinkle in his eye about having sex with her. She did not want him to do anything for her, because if he does that, then, oh, well, now I owe him sex. I was like, you don't owe him nothing. Okay, he should be nice just because it's good to be nice. So what happened was, after that conversation, as you can see, this is her words, she basically started to see someone, and now she's getting along better than she ever would have imagined. She utilized the things that we had talked about. She made her online dating. We don't necessarily push you guys into online dating. But as she had her discussions, she was able to weed out the bad guys, get to the good guys. And so now she is more in the happy category. And she actually sent me another one a little bit later, talking about how this relationship had blossomed into the best relationship that she'd ever had in her life. Okay, so what we can see is that most of us are just making 1 or 2 small problems. Small mistakes. That's another reason why we do the discussion, to talk about that. For those that are new, we will discuss, and we pretty much discuss until we get bored and have to go. But it's important to understand that you have to make those good choices. There's guys all around you. I'm not going to let you say, oh, there's no good guys in the world. Oh, there's not, good ratio, blah, 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 because we know that's not true. So if you're still leaning towards those things, then you have to deal with your trauma. Okay, because you're leaning towards excuses. And we can do that as people, because our excuse heals us, or I shouldn't say heals us, it protects us from our pain, and it makes it where we don't have to go out and reach out again. We don't have to work toward things. We don't have to come out of our shell. But an excuse is an excuse. Okay. And at the end of the day, there's lots of men out here. At the end of the day, there's a lot of Christian men out here. At the end of the day, there are a lot of men that are going home every day, crying out to God, saying, I don't understand why I cannot have someone, why no one will love me. The same way you're doing it, that's happening over there. But what we got to get you to do is we have to get you to understand that you could be picking bad. You could be in a situation where you're looking at the guy with the extra long shirt on, instead of saying, you know what, maybe he just needs a medium. Maybe he just needs a medium shirt. Maybe once I get with him, I'm not going to spend my money on him. I don't believe women should spend their money on a man, but you can encourage him to wear a medium. And I'm not saying find a super duper ultra fixer upper. I'm not saying that either, because there's some women out there that are literally addicted to fixer-upper men. But what I am saying is one or two things to help him, might be good as well. All right. So where are these men? If you want to take a picture of this, some of this you probably already know. But this is the last slide. So if you're an adventurous person, okay, because remember we're talking about wants and needs. If you are an adventurous person, it might be a new restaurants, new fun places. Like in Atlanta, there's a lot of new things all the time, like the Third Spot or a new restaurant that pops up. They could be in the airport, because they're like you. They like to fly all around the world. They could be at your resort. They could be on a tour with you. If you're artsy, I'm a little bit more artsy, so they might be in the museums or galleries. That just basically means that every time, like at the High Museum here in Atlanta, they have a new exhibit come in probably every 3 or 4 months. So you might just need to get a membership and go to the museum every 3 to 4 months. There's also artsy parts of town, like here in Atlanta, there's Little 5 Points where a lot of artists hang out. So if you're an artist person, why aren't you hanging out there? Those are your people. Again, you need to know your people. Last night, I thought it was really funny because there was a lady and a man and both of them had a little straw hat on. And it was so funny because, like I said, when you look at the couples, kind of like I was saying before, most of the couples look alike. Even if they're in an interracial relationship, they look alike. There's something about them that look alike. There was one lady I thought was hilarious. The husband was extremely bow-legged and she was extremely pigeon-toed. And that was the couple. So your person looked like you. That's why I said you can't not like yourself. If you bow-legged, then more than likely your man either likes you bow-legged, or he might be pigeon-toed, or he might have a lazy foot or something. But that's real. So if you're athletic, they might be at the gym, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons. They're at the park, they're at the sports centers. If you're Christian, yes, they're at church, but you can't just go to church and go home, because when you're sitting down in the pews, what happens is you can't talk to the person next to you. So it'll help if you join the volunteer groups at your church, and you can hop around. Don't feel bad about hopping around. I've seen women do it at my church. They hop around from group to group. And I know they was looking for men. I know they was doing it. And I was like, oh, girl, you're doing the right thing. I ain't got no problem with you. That's called positioning yourself. So there's nothing wrong with it. They're in Bible studies, and then there's some that might be right here in CSC. If you're intellectual, they could be at the library, the coffee shop. They could be at cons, superhero cons, comic book cons. They could be at professional cons, because you have photography things. You have things for accounting. There's a big one here, Earn Your Leisure. They do a lot with investment and stuff like that. So if that's what you're into, then your person is probably there. If they're more relaxed, chill, this is probably the hardest group to get to, but they're probably on social media. You can drop into their DMs. Another thing that I don't see happen a lot, but we talk about a lot, is you can go to the opposite gender safe spaces. So what does this look like? And I've done this. So what does this look like? It looked like your boy Jay going down to yoga. And so I'm down there doing the downward dog with all the women. It was like 9,700 women and like 4 dudes. And 2 dudes was there with their wife. So me and another dude, we single, and we up there doing the downward dog and all the other kind of stuff, because there's more women at yoga than there are men. And for women, and we said this before, you can go to the sports bar. And every single time a woman has gone to the sports bar and she sat at the bar and she's come back, she has always said, every single woman that's done this has come back and said, I talk to men all night long. Men talk to me all night long. And you don't have to be into sports. You don't have to be into football, baseball, basketball, whatever, because guys will simply talk to you because you're there. And then you can always use, can you teach me about the sport? What does that mean? Okay, use your womanly wiles. That's why God gave them to you. All right. So use them. Don't be afraid. So if you go into man spaces, then you're automatically going to get attention. Guys, a lot of times, if you go into the woman spaces, unfortunately, we have to spend more time because it can be, you know, the softer women take a little bit longer to warm up. So you might have to hang out. And I know for me, I just couldn't keep doing yoga. It just felt wrong on a deep spiritual level for me. You know, some of the stretches, I mean, women that do yoga probably know what I'm talking about. Some of the stretches just made me feel not like a man. And we can talk and discuss because for all the new people, that is what we do. And you don't have to ask a question or a comment just to me. You can do it for anybody in the group. So if somebody comes in, they say something and you want to respond to them, you're more than welcome to do it. We're here to learn, grow. Like I said, all we ask is that you are polite and that you are respectful. And then if you're going to mess with somebody, because like I mess with people all the time, again, you know, be respectful for that as well. All right. So who wants to go first? If nobody puts up their hand, I will call on you. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I'm calling on Darlene. She got her hat on. So she knew it. She was like, yeah, I knew you was going to call
Of course you are. So I just wanted to say thank you for the commentary and really good information. I had stated in the chat that part of my problem, I believe, was being in a relationship because, childhood trauma, stuff like that. So being in a relationship is where I found security, but it was not a good thing because they weren't being entered into in a godly manner. So ultimately they failed. So with this last relationship, it was the absolute worst and I had enough. So I decided to stay single. I've been single for 5 years. But now that I've taken the time to just be alone with God and to figure out, you know, who I am and what I want and what's good for me and what's not. I'm here so I can learn and grow and, you know, learn to trust myself to make the right decision, which is a big thing that I'm trying to get over. I don't trust myself yet.
Okay. Well, no, I get that. And thank you for speaking up. And remember, like I said, we're all going through stuff. We're all going through stuff. Again, that's why we're here. But the key element is the guy needs to be a giver. All right, ladies, the same thing with guys. If you're hanging out with women, they need to be givers. Okay. And I tell people this all the time. If you want to be married, marriage is for givers. It's not for takers. Unfortunately, a lot of takers do get married, but marriage is for givers. If you're not ready to give your life away, then just stay single. Okay, seriously, stay single. Help the rest of us out. We're supposed to mirror like Jesus loves the church. And what did Jesus do? He was constantly giving his life away. And I don't have time to go through all the different examples, but there's a lot of examples where he does this, and he does it to the point of death. So that is what we're called for. So if you are in a marriage or in a relationship, your job is to give your life away. It's not to hold it back. It's not to see, oh, okay, what is this person going to do? Now, I said go slow in the beginning. So don't give your life away in the first, in the first 4 or 5 weeks. Don't do that. But once you have established that the person is a good person and things like that, you slowly open up. You slowly allow that. But I don't want you guys to have your hackles up to the point where any guy or woman comes to you, you punching them down. Because we don't want that. But we do want people to understand that a lot of the quick moving people, the people that come up to you easily, things like that, many of them are bad. So we have to make sure that we are focusing in on the good, not the bad, and getting rid of the good very quickly. And then over time, you'll start to even notice if you do have a bad picker, you'll start to notice the qualities of the good people. They're going to move different. They're going to act different. They're going to talk different. And by watching them, you'll start to pick that up. And so it'll become easier and easier for you to figure them out quickly. Come on, Mr. Tim.
Yeah, I'll try to make this pretty quick. I'm really try to be very direct and quick and not beat around the bush. I'm right now, I haven't had a date probably in about 5 or 6 months. And before that, I hadn't had a date in about 2 years. But right now, I'm sort of in neutral. I'm trying to reevaluate myself. You ever hear the phrase rebuild yourself, reinvent yourself? I'm realizing through prayer and through observation and what does it say? Let a man sit in silence and examine himself. I'm finding out a couple of things. I do think I give out positive vibes, and I do try to smile. I do try to put my best foot forward. But I realized that what my problem was or is, I was very confident, very self-assured, and I just got into a bunch of very bad relationships. And I'm not going to stay parked in that space. But it knocked me down and knocked me down and knocked me down. And then I met another one that knocked me down. So my self-confidence got poo-poo kind of punched. So I'm getting over it. You know, they put your big boy pants on and get over it. But I'm realizing one of the mistakes I make is fortunately, for some reason, there's a bright side and a dark side. And the dark side is always trying to overcome the bright side. So like I was in this group a couple of weeks ago or something, and I was mentioning, well, you know, I'm retired. I don't have that much money. I don't travel much. I'm kind of a homebody. I don't do this. I don't do that. I'm not athletic. And then somebody said, whoa, stop. I said, what? This is bad because you're telling someone all the stuff you can't do or what you're not good at. No. You got to concentrate on what you are good at. So I sat, this sounds silly, but I sat down and wrote all the things I'm really good at or all the good qualities about myself. Then I wrote down the shitty qualities. Part of my French. It really wasn't that many. There was some bad stuff, but most of it was all good. So I had to hang that up on the fridge and just remind myself that you know, I'm a good listener. I'm sensitive. I'm understanding. I try to be patient, very artistic. You know, I love art so much. I love music and I love dancing. And I could just go on and on and on. I don't want to bore you with all that. But it's really important for me to be as positive as I can and just try to push the negative away and show the light of my good personality, who I really am, and not try to try and be what I can't do. Because I realize how that sounded. It's like if I videotaped myself and played it back, I think you're the one, Jay, the one said, you know, would you date yourself? I mean, seriously, would you want to date yourself? So I did that. I videotaped myself and I was okay, but I realized what I could do better. I want to be very cheerful, positive. And the last thing I want to do is drag any of the old, you know, bad, negative stuff into a date or into someone I've just met or, you know, right now I'm just looking for people I can talk to and express myself and have fun with. And I'm not trying to try too hard. I don't want to sound desperate. I'm just letting God be God. And that's pretty much what I got to say. I got to just kind of be myself and chill out. I got to be a little easier and loving on myself and not be so self-critical. I tend to do that. So that's it.
No, I thank you for that. And I think it's good that you said a lot of those things because I think that's one of the problems that we have. Like, you know, like Tawana likes to beat up on me because I'm a nerd. And, you know, Jocelyn likes to, you know, say bad things about me as well. But, you know, I try to tell people there are really great women that are nerds and they can be very attractive as well. So, but I do think, you know, on a serious tip, I do think that it is important that we do recognize, like I said, that there could be one or two things that we are doing that is hurting us. You see what I'm saying? So it's good for you to know what you think is positive about yourself, but then there might be one or two things that you can tweak, whether that is, like I said, going out, you know, like you're saying, going out more, you haven't been out as much, or, you know, doing something else. Like I said, I can't say because everybody's situation is so different, but you have to kind of look at what you're going through and just kind of pick out, you know, what, you know, could be, you know, your issue, what's hurting you. Mm-hmm. And like I say, I mean, most of the people in CSC are good. They're great, you know, great catches. And like I say, I mean, it's always surprising. And we had another lady, what was it? Tashawn might know if she's still on here, about 3 or 4 months ago. And she said the only thing she had to do was, I forgot what she said, but she made one change. And next thing you know, she found a dude and now they're married.
Karen.
Karen, there you go. Thank you, Tashawn. And that's the whole point. See, I think all of you are great. I don't think we got to go through some whole big, long list of, oh, you need to change this, change this, change this, change this. No, God made you great. But there might be something, especially in trauma, that you're doing that's hurting you. And that one thing is the thing, like for you, maybe Mr. Tim, don't look down on yourself. Don't look down on who you are. That could be one of the things that you have to fix and see how awesome you are, and then use that as, a confidence booster, to go out here and find your person. So what's going on, Miss Diane? Welcome back.
Oh, well, thanks for remembering me because I'm relatively new to this group. This is my second time to be on these calls. And so thank you. I am too young to be old. I've spent the last 10 years actually recovering from burnout. Both corporate burnout as well as I was the caregiver for my husband who had dementia. And he's now passed away. And it's taken me this amount of time to, one, recover from the burnout, but also to just take a step back, do some introspection, and decide how I want to reinvent myself. And I've actually done that. I decided to create, I'm retired from a career with AT&T, but I decided to go back to work. I'm a librarian, love the work that I'm doing. It's like all of my life has aligned in this new chapter of my life. And I'm really pleased about that. And I'm just now ready to open my heart because I think I'm healed from the trauma of being a giver, of being a caregiver for so long. And the voice in my head keeps reminding me, well, you're retired. How are you going to connect with someone else in a similar situation who shares the same kinds of core values that you share? So that's the issue that I have. But I've got a lot of life, a lot to give, and just look forward to what you might be able to say to me in that regard.
Well, like I said, I think, like you said, you've gone through some things and you're now on the other side, but it's about getting out there. I think, like I said, that could be your thing. You got to get, okay. You put your hand down, so it moved on me. But yeah, you got to get out there. Do you think you can get out there, or are you getting out there? Do you have a strategy? I saw somebody in the chat that was talking about the whole thing with football season. Football season starts right after Labor Day weekend. I do encourage women to do it in Atlanta. If you don't have a bar that you might go to, I always say, and I'm a Falcons fan, but I would tell you, if you put a Saints shirt on and you come into a Falcons area, everybody in the mama gonna talk to you. So that's just a real quick one. But go ahead, Diane. Yeah. What's your strategy? You got to be like Naomi. What's your strategy?
I definitely, and I remember from last week when you talked about that, I do have a strategy. And the first step in the strategy has been to become a part of this meetup group. I went to the event last night, didn't have a chance to connect with many people, but I appreciate Sean and Donna were gracious hosts. So I appreciate that. One of the things that I also do weekly is I make certain that I schedule some fun time, because for all of these years being a caregiver, I neglected my own self-care. So I just make sure that I choose something. And for this week, it was the event at the High Museum as well as this event. So I'm getting out there. I'm just getting my sea legs and just trying to build a new network of people.
Okay, well that works. That's a good first step. But like I will definitely tell you, as football season comes in, it's a really great time. I mean, if you're into basketball, I mean, you got basketball season, baseball. I know Tashawn had wanted to go to the Braves game, and we've talked about that. It's just a little bit tricky right now because the Braves are winning, so their tickets are high. But you know, we have talked about that. And like I say, I'm okay with, you know, doing something, you know, more on the lady side as well, doing something like maybe not yoga per se, but, you know, something that might be more, you know, female centric, to get some of the guys in places where, you know, they can meet more women and things like that. But again, I definitely encourage people to put on their cameras and, you know, to have good lighting and stuff like that. Because like I said, you never know, you know, your person could be on the call right now. Also, talking. You know, a lot of people talk. You know, I try to prompt people to talk because, you know, as people hear you, and I know Tawana's ready to talk. You know, I can see the itch in her eyes, so she's gonna talk in a minute. You know, as you do that, what happens is people get to know your personality, and what we really hope is that more people lean toward the sapiosexual nature of life, because you want to fall in love with what's up here.
Okay.
All right. That's so important. And sometimes so many people get so focused on the outside and they're not focused on what's on the inside. And that's the most important thing. So I'm going to move on to Miss Alita. I'm butchering everybody's name. Alita. Yeah, I got it. All right.
Thank you so much for this time today and just for listening. One of the points you mentioned was going out. And I have to say, I've done a lot of those things, but it's really hard to go to things alone. Like, I love sports. I love football. Fall is the best time of the year between college and NFL. It's wonderful. But when you go to those events, and even I've gone to the High, although I didn't go last month or last night, I just find in general that events aren't for people who go alone. When I go to the High, but people go in groups. So that's my challenge. Yes, I go to those things, but I'm still alone. I'm not really connecting because most people aren't alone as well. They're with families or with friends or whatever. So get your thoughts on that. Because again, I love football, but when I go to restaurants,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying they're in groups, so I don't know how to break that mold. So that's it. Thank you.
No, but would you break that mold, Alita, by exactly what we're talking about? So when you come out last night, you grab Donna, and then you say, Donna, we're going to walk. And then you take Donna and walk through the High, and it's just you and Donna. And as you guys see some men, you know, there's maybe two of them or maybe one, then you can compliment the guy on his shirt or on his cologne, or maybe he'll come and compliment you. I don't know. But that's the whole point. The whole point of CSC is to help you to be your wing person. That's what we say that all the time. I know I thought I said it to you last night. I know I told it to Leonida, you know, a couple of other people. We're there to be your wing person. You know, I don't mind you talking to people in the group. I've never had an issue with that. But I'm always saying, especially with the High Museum, I'm always saying to women, pick another woman, go for a walk. You know, why do you think that woman there? She's there to help you. She's there to be your wing person because you did come along. And we know that. But if we can get you out of your house and if we can get you with, you know, your wing person, then that's what we do. And for the organizers, we know that's what we're there for. We're there for to support you. So we're going to do everything we can in order, you know, to help you get, you know, your person. So at the end of the day, I mean, somebody just put their hand down. Kind of forgot because y'all moving fast now on me. But so coming out to the events is a great thing. But also, if you find that you connect. So for instance, Alita, you come out. Jocelyn wasn't out last night, but I'm picking on her because I can see her really well. So if she comes out and then y'all are like, you know, we got so much in common, girl, then you should be like, well, give me your number. Give me your number. And then next thing you know, y'all can go out together. So now you got a wing person even when CSC isn't doing anything. The point is, I need you guys, especially the ladies, to build strategy. Your strategy, ladies, has to be about getting out and getting into the places so you can position yourself to find the men. The men's strategy has to be more about how do I talk to this woman once I see her. Is that your question, Patty? Because I saw you put your hand down. I'm sorry, Leonie.
Sorry, no. I wanted to say quickly that also join new clubs, try different things, new hobbies. Also, there are a lot of meetup groups and people get together, do different things. And also, I just wanted to say that one of my friends, she told everybody she was single, that she was looking for somebody. She was telling literally everyone, not in a creepy way, not she met somebody and like, I'm looking for a guy. But whoever she felt comfortable with, she told them she's looking to meet somebody, a gentleman. Now they are married because she met a friend, through a friend, her husband. So be a little bit vocal about it. Don't be ashamed to say that you are single and that you are looking, because other people know other people who are looking as well.
Oh, thank you for that. Appreciate that. And that actually reminds me, and I'm going to come to you, Leonida, even though you put your hand down. That reminds me of something that I've also learned. And we talk about this a couple of times. Ladies, I just do not believe that you all don't have at least one guy, if not two guys, that you have put in the friend zone. Okay? You put him in the friend zone. You did that. So give him away. Okay? So Jamita is laughing right now because she knows it's true. She got like 10 of them in the friend zone. Okay? So all I'm saying is, Jamita, if you talking to Rochelle, and then Rochelle's like, girl, I'm looking for this, and this, Jamita, friend zone dude number 5 would be perfect. So you need to call him up and set them up. And yes, you're gonna lose your friend zone guy, but your friend zone guy wasn't meant for you because you didn't want him. You ain't doing it. Give him away. And if we do that, then people will find their person. But you gotta stop holding them, back. You gotta give these people over to who they're supposed to be. But I agree 100% with Patty. We need to use our friend networks and different things like that. People need to have house parties, and things like that, so you can invite groups of people over so they can meet each other. So what's up, Leonida? You got something else you want to say?
Oh, I was just going to say that, I appreciate you guys inviting me into the group. I'm actually newly single. It's kind of weird to even say single. And I'm like not really 100% sure that I'm ready to even date again. But I really enjoy like hearing you guys' insight and everything. So, your insight, Jay.
Well, there's other people's insight too. They're gonna talk more as they get ready. And Tawana about to really rip me one. So once she get in, other people gonna start speaking up and talking. They're gonna start J bashing. That's what they know. I know you new to the group, but they start J bashing, and I know it's coming. I know Rochelle's writing down her notes. Margaret's writing down her notes. They're gonna be J bashing in a minute. See, Margaret already she got a J bash out of turn.
It's Lanisha, just so nobody pronounces my name wrong.
Oh, okay. So,
but I know it's not okay.
Yeah, it's coming. But one of the things I did want to say is Heather says volunteering at the church is a joke. I'm about to volunteer somewhere that I haven't joined with the church, but somewhere that I can help mentor foster children. The truth is, you can volunteer anywhere and everywhere. And I would even say, I'm being real with y'all. Sometimes I wonder why you guys stay in the same place that y'all are. If you're called to your church, that's fine. But who says that you can't go to somebody else's church? I'm just being real. Okay, so you can go to your church for the 9 a.m. service and then go to somebody else's church at the 11 o'clock service. You can go to every church in your city. You can volunteer all over the place. Okay, nobody said you was locked into that one church. You picked that church with 300 people and it wasn't but 5 single men because you like that one guy. Okay, well now he done married somebody, so now you stuck. Okay, but you can go to Church Victory. We got 35,000 people and half of them single. Okay, and you got other churches like that, World Changers here in Atlanta, all that kind of stuff. new birth, shoot, linked up. I mean, and when you get there, hop around. Shoot, don't be worried about it. But yeah, definitely you can volunteer at different places. I'm definitely into that. And like I said, you can hop around when you volunteer. You don't owe these people nothing. But volunteer for 3 months and then go somewhere else. Volunteer for 4 months. Go somewhere else. Volunteer for 2 months. And just keep it moving. You got to have your plan, man. I'm sorry. You got to have your plan. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. Like I say, God sent me here to get y'all married. Okay. He didn't send me here to play games and stuff like that. So CSC, that's what we're about. We're not about nothing else. Leonia talks about paint and sip. We actually going to try to do that as a group. I like paint and sip. Unfortunately, it's going to be more women there than men. That's why we talk about going to places that the other gender generally is not going to go. Oh, hey, what's up, Shane? I haven't seen you in a while. Shane's coming from down in the Caribbean.
Hi.
So it's all good. It's all good. I'm trying to hold off of Tawana because I know she's coming to get me. So all right, Tawana, you can talk. You got to unmute though.
Yeah, sorry about that.
See, God is making sure that you remember that you godly.
So I am gonna get you. He always gives me a hard time. But so I will say this. Number one, I always enjoy your presentations. You to Sean, I always enjoy them. You guys do. And Sean, all of you all. Everybody does a great job. So that's first and foremost. I would just say that, like, I agree with you in terms of the fact that as women, we have to get out. I know that that's probably my issue. Number one, I'm in Illinois. So, like, you guys are in Atlanta. You guys have a lot of summer days where you guys can get out, see people, do stuff. In Illinois, like, we may have 3 or 4 months. Like today, it's windy. It's cold. I'm outside to enjoy because I know in a couple of weeks it's going to be over. So I do know that that's part of my problem. The only thing I think I disagree with, and I would hope that you would say to the guys, is that, like, I do like a man that pursues. I mean, we talked about that. I know you said I'm supposed to position myself. I have done that and tried to do that as well. I'm not good at that because I like a leader. I like a person that's going to come up to me and, like, say, hey, how are you? What's your name? Like, I like all of that pursuing of a woman and being a lady. So when you say sometimes that you think that the woman should position herself and strike up conversation, I feel like it forces us to change position. And I just prefer, I just wish that you would also encourage the men on the line as well to come out of their comfort zone, because you're telling us to come out of our comfort zone. So, like, I also think that the men should come out of their comfort zone as well, so that if they see a woman, pursue. That's what God called you to do. And I know you said he that findeth, he, not she. So I'll just say that. So that it could be equal. So yes, on one front, the women could be positioning themselves, but then at the same time, the men, when you have an opportunity, also pursue, because that's part of dating as well. But I just wanted to say that, yeah, I think part of my issue is obviously, like you said, coming straight home from work. After work, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. To go someplace else after that and then try to have to position myself is more difficult. So I do get your point, and I do receive that, and I will do better, because in a little couple of months, I'm not gonna be able to go outside anyway. It's gonna be cold outside, so I'm gonna be forced to go to the sports bars and sports events and things like that. So I do appreciate all of the tips that you gave, and your presentation was amazing.
Oh,
see, that wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but I mean, and honestly, what you're saying, I don't disagree with. I do think the men need to push more. We generally, when we get on the men, for all the people that have talked about that, we generally get on the men privately. And the reason why we do this a lot of times is, to be able to use harsher language many times, and I know I'm called to be under God and stuff like that, but, sometimes, you just got to call a man something other than child of God to get them moving. So, when we have had men's events and stuff like that, I've tried to go a little bit harder in the paint, when it comes to men. And me and Sean Williams have talked a lot about what we can do to try to encourage the men, to be stronger. But again, just want to make sure that I'm clear. I'm not necessarily saying that you have to go out and sit next to a guy, then quote unquote strike up a conversation. All I'm saying is that you position yourself around men that you would want to talk to. That's all I'm saying. If the guy doesn't, and if they look at you, smile, make eye contact, smile, say hello. That's it. That's really all I'm asking you to do.
I don't do that.
Huh?
I don't do that, so I will work on that.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking you to do. Like, I mean, for instance, I'm gonna beat up on Leonida a little bit because she didn't do anything wrong, but she had a little scooter last night because she hurt her foot. So she's scooting around, and she's trying to find out where she's supposed to go. So she scoots up, and then I talk to her, whatever, to find out what's going on, because she's trying to figure it out. And a lot of times people are looking around, and so I can kind of figure it out. So while I'm not saying from a romantic perspective, what she did was she put clothes on. She knew she was where she was going. She came approximately to the position of where she needed to be in order to do work with the group. At that point, I stepped to her, find out who she is, what you're looking for, where you're going, and then at that point, we started to talk. Does that make sense? So all she had to do was show up. Okay, so, but 9 times out of 10, what we're not getting women to even show up. And then when they do show up, they're showing up to the wrong place instead of to the right place. You can't go to the club, not saying you, but I'm saying if you go to the club, you're going to meet guys who have a club mentality. If you go to the average museum, maybe not on jazz night, but you go to the average museum and you're walking around looking at art, you're going to run into guys who like art. So you have to go to the places where the men are that you want. So you can't say, I don't want a quality man because, all it is, even in church, it's like, I go to Victory, like I've told y'all before, and I've been going to Victory Midtown because I moved recently to another part of Atlanta. And so Victory Midtown is known for singles, right? There's more singles in Victory Midtown than there are in Victory Norcross, which is where I used to go. And people ask me, and they're like, well, why haven't you found somebody, Jay? Why haven't you found somebody? Man, as soon as they get a benediction, half of the people get up and leave.
Yep.
They gone. They zip. They in their cars. They trying to beat traffic. Okay, women, y'all not giving nobody a chance to find you. And then when a guy might look at you, y'all like this. Oh, the ceiling paint looks so good today. Y'all don't want to make eye contact because y'all think that the dude is a loser and you don't want to spend no time with no dude that you think is worse than, is not the type for you. Okay, when that might be your man. Or if it's not your man, he might lead you to your man. And so that's my point. My point is people have gotten to the point where the protection element is so strong, you're almost taking yourself out the game. Because when a woman looks away, that is the universal signal for most men to say she's not interested. So here you got, my boy Tunde. I'm gonna joke on him for a second. So if Tunde's out, he's tall dude, chocolate. Y'all like them tall and chocolate. And he's sitting there and he basically try to make eye contact with one of y'all, and then y'all look away, and then y'all come right on here on CSC and be like, I'm looking for a tall chocolate dude that that loves Jesus, and it ain't no tall guys that like Jesus. And there he is right there, come out. He been, how long you been coming out to him there? Probably about 3-4 months. But y'all will be, ain't no man. Then we had Chuck come out. It's hard for him to come out literally to a lot of our events. But every time he pop up, his face pop up, women be trying to get up. So I know he got to be cute because of the way y'all act. But again, he's sitting around there. He on the thing. He Christian. he this, that, and the third, but then y'all won't talk to him. You know what I'm saying? So, we lost somebody. I was about to call on her, but anyway, come on, Miss Ann.
Hi, this is my first time, and really enjoyed the presentation and the conversation. Just a couple of questions, though. You initially mentioned that the organization was also in the New York City area. I didn't really see anything, any in-person activity in the New York City area. So if you could just expound on that a little bit, that would be great. And also, I love football, and but I just cannot see myself going to a sports bar, and because I don't drink. So what are the other places that men go to other than sports bar and the gym? So your thoughts?
I mean, I'll let some of the men explain, you know, maybe some other places that they go where they see more guys. The main places I see where men hang out, and we've kind of seen this and noticed this a lot of times, is that, I mean, really almost any activity place. I think Donna can expound to that, but almost any activity place that we've gone, we've had a decent amount of men. It might have not been more men than women, but like when we went to the third spot, there was a lot of guys. When we went to the Punch Bowl, there were a lot of guys. We did, you know, pizza party one time. We had a lot of guys. So, you know, guys come out, you know, if you just, you know, are out there looking. But remember, in CSC, I'm always trying to tell people your person might not be in CSC. A lot of times we are, like I was talking to Alita about, you know, we can be your wing person. As for also being at a bar, you don't have to drink to be at a bar. I don't drink, and I still go to the bar. A lot of people at the bar, they're really just there to enjoy it. What you need to do is you just tell the bartender that you're going to be a good tipper. That's all you got to say. Say, I like sweet tea, and I'm going to be a good tipper. And most bartenders kind of understand what that means, because the main reason why bartenders might act, you know, crazy when you don't drink is because they're thinking about their tip. So if you're gonna sit at the bar and then you give her a 20% tip and all you ordered is something basic and some sweet tea, she's gonna be mad because she's used to a $50, $60 tab where she's gonna make $12. So if you're like, look, I'm gonna give you $20 no matter what, you know, for your tip, then you'll find a lot of the bartenders might be much nicer to you. And then you don't have to feel as worried about it. But
wait, let me expound on the New York. She did have a Labor Day event coming up. Just let us know that that is been postponed. But if you could put your email in a chat for me, I'll make sure that I get you two connected. But she was going to have something for Labor Day, but something personally came up. But let me connect you with our person in New York. So possibly when she has her next event, you're in the loop. Okay, Ann?
Oh, that'll be great. I will do that. And your name?
Donna.
Okay, Donna, thank you.
Yeah, if you do the chat and you just pick me, then you'll just send it to me. It's a direct message, and then you don't have to share it with the whole group. So then I'll pass it on.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
And are you a member of the New York group?
No, I actually just found this group. So I thought, so I'm not a member of the New York group.
Yeah, Donna can send you, because the different locations have their own meetup group, because it's hard for people in an area to find the group that's in their area if it's and not in their area. So we have actually 4 different meetups that are connected. So Donna will give you that when you give her your email as well.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Yeah. And like I said, you know, our goal is to help you, you know, find your person. And if you are interested, if you're not in one of those 4 cities and you're interested in helping us and moving, you know, God's position, you can talk to one of the leaders. To Sean, who just spoke, is a leader. Donna is a leader. Sean B, he's on here. Yeah, he has a dark background behind him. You know, he is a leader. I don't see anybody else. I think Lori was on here earlier. I don't know if she's still on, but she's also a leader. So We have lots of different leaders. Like I say, Jocelyn is heading over there to us. She has a few things. Yeah, so you got to, you know, I have to figure that out. But yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can do, you know, when it comes to that, because we're trying to convince Shane to give us one, you know, down in the Caribbean. You know, she's still hesitant, but we're going to get her. We're going to have the first Caribbean CSC, you know, down there pretty soon, and be international. But, you know, that's how it rolls. But yeah, let's go to Lakeisha.
Hi, Jay. Hi, everyone. Sorry I was a little late. Attended a ladies conference this morning. I just wanted to share, Jay, that unintentionally yesterday, I had been talking about, you know, what I learned at I think you were on Thursday talks when we discussed, you know, swinging of the hair and batting of the eyes, and I'm like, oh man, I never did that. Well, yesterday on a Zoom call with one of my friends, not intending to do anything, I just happened to be slinging my hair, you know, because my hair was in my face, and they instantly stopped. And not that, you know, just an old friend. And he was like, "Oh, stop, please! That's turning me on." Da 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 da. And I'm like, "Oh my God!" I thought about what I learned from you. I was like, wow, that really does turn me. He said, yes, that turns me on. Like it was something unintentionally, just trying to get the hair out my face. But I just want to share, ladies, that either, like I said, wasn't nothing I was intending to do. It just happened. And a guy just from not from CSC, gave me a really nice compliment and how that turned them on. So just want to share that.
Oh, well, thank you for that. And remember that, you know, I try to tell women this all the time. Most of you all naturally do choosing signals. It's natural. You know, if anything, a lot of you have been training yourself indirectly to turn those choosing signals off. But when you make eye contact, when you're wide in your eyes, like, you know, Lakeisha said, when you're playing with your hair a little bit, when you're getting a little nervous, those are choosing signals. And so we've been trying to teach the guys to pay more attention to the choosing signals and to understand what those mean. You know, like Tawana said, you know, we got to get these guys right. We got to get these guys right. And I agree, Tawana. So we've been trying to educate the guys slowly but steadily so that they will know when the woman is kind of interested. And so that's what, thank you for Lakeisha for saying that. See, so Tawana, you see that I am trying. I'm trying with these guys. But yeah, so is it a compliment to turn somebody on? I think, like you say, vocabulary does matter. But the bottom line is, like I told you, and I'll say it over and over again, I know we're a Christian group, and if this bothers you, then, you know, you can just leave the group. The ultimate thing, the difference between of everything, honestly, is sex. Me and Tawana can be friends. We can hang out. We can do anything. She can have a boyfriend. She can have a husband. It don't matter. But if we even kiss or hold hands or have sex, oh Lord, the whole world fall apart. Okay. So at the end of the day, like I was saying in the presentation, ladies and men, gentlemen, I want the person that you're with for you to be attracted to. I think that that's very important. So turning somebody on is that. It just means being attracted. You know, it might not necessarily like the language, but it is just being attracted to someone. So we got to recognize, women, that men are going to be attracted to you, and that men need to recognize that women are not these little innocent things. They think about sex just as much as we do, and they are turned on by men. So, you know, we need to be real with that. Again, like I said, we are not your pastor up there in front of the congregation. Our goals are different, you know, and we cannot hide behind things in order to help people to get to where they need to go. Come on, Patricia.
Absolutely. Yes, I just wanted to comment, and I just want to. I didn't get the whole thing, so I see there's a recording. So I wanted to see how I can get the recording of it, and then the second part. I appreciate you doing this, and you know, giving the information, because for me, I think I've been. Oh my gosh, I've been in single ministry. I've been volunteer, and I've been like doing some of different things. I haven't did the bar stuff, except for, the 11th, November the 11th veterans. I go in there and all the guys are there then. But what I do tend to do is what you mentioned. And I'm like, Patricia, I'm glad you mentioned that we start looking up. I start looking up in the ceiling. So I'm like, but I do that because I'm nervous. It's like, I don't know how to look someone in the eye. And sometimes I do. And I'm like, am I staring? Is that weird? I don't know how many seconds do you look and then look away so they can understand that, hey, I'm interested. It's like, I don't know. So that's kind of weird for me, because the eye contact thing, I mean, I can do that, but I was like, is there a second that you have to look and look away? What is it? What else do you have to do, for that? Because I have been the person that either look up in the ceiling, or look down. And now that you're saying that, I feel like, oh, maybe I got some little bit insecurities going on, because that sounds like someone that's insecure that maybe I have to pray through. But just all in all, thank you guys for putting that out there. And I like to get a recording because I didn't have a chance to listen to it all. Okay.
Well, first thing is we put a couple of links in the chat, so
Okay.
you can look in the chat now. And if again, for those that have not followed, we do encourage you to hit that link and go out and just subscribe really quickly. But we are on YouTube, Christian Singles Connect. I think there's actually another one, but we have at least 400 followers or something like that. So that's the one you want. And if you watch one of the videos, you'll see me or Tashawn talking. So it'll be kind of easy to figure it out. But yeah, so we do hope that you guys will go out and follow us. That really does help us and bless us when you do that. So please do. But to your question, and some other people can answer this as well. Like I said, it's not always directed at me. We have a lot of really great knowledge, and that's how we work with the group. But first of all, you have to practice. Practice it. That's the best thing. Like I've said before, if a man wants to talk to a woman, he's going to have to learn to talk. That's just how it is. And if, a woman's going to do anything and it's not natural, sometimes you have to learn how to do it. And most of us would have learned how to do this in middle school and high school. But things come up and we fight our urges for whatever reason. People might tell us things and we get insecure. And so we just stop doing it. But I know Jocelyn never has a problem with that. She's very good with guys. I see her all the time, and I'm always like, man, girl, you go. You go, girl. Come on, Tara.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am driving, hence why my video is not on. So, yes, I get that we're grown. I get that grown folks have sex, Christian and Christian not. I get it. That's irrelevant for me. I think that approach, and like I said in the text, the vocabulary matters. So that because you don't know who you're dealing with, the way in which you approach a lady may be offensive. The way that you approach a woman who really does take seriously her faith and her walk with the Lord, to tell her that you are turning her on may not be a compliment. And so I would invite men to be vigilant when you are looking at a lady, because I'm told that you all do observe before you approach. that you might want to observe how she is dressed. You might want to observe her body language. You might want to observe some things about her that will let you know that the manner in which you approach her will make a difference. Because if she is, as one of my Christian brothers would say, ass out, then yeah, you might be able to tell her, oh, baby, you turn me on. And it would be receptive. She would be receptive to that. But if she is clad in such a way that her cleavage is not showing and that her behind is not at the door, you might want to give a second thought about what you say and how you say it, because it can be truly offensive. And I know for me, not only do I consider myself a person who takes my faith seriously and how I am perceived seriously, and I hold the fact that I am a lady in everything that I do, I would not be receptive to such an approach. And I would probably reprove you in that moment. And with that, I land.
No, that was good. And I mean, because honestly, you know, from what Tara Ann is saying, is that, you know, that is true. I mean, you know, guys do need to understand the moment in time and who they're dealing with. I think my comment was more on, because she had said that her friend, I don't think he was a Christian. So that's kind of what I was leaning to. But I definitely think there's a time and place for everything. So I definitely you know, kind of agree with that. And I think
whether you're Christian or not, you should have a standard for yourself that you are going to show up as the person you choose to be. It should not be based on whether you're Christian or not. It should just be based on the fact that you have a desire to represent yourself well in general. And I mean, if you want to use Christianity as a reason or an excuse, that's fine. But we hear every session people talk about how Christian men or women don't conduct themselves in X way. And so whatever your reasoning is, if you say that you're something, then be that. Not in certain circumstances like, oh, well, when I'm at church, I'm this way. And when I'm at work, I'm this way. Be the person that you can be proud of at all times. And if somebody is dressed in a way that you think that you could talk to them some kind of way, don't disrespect yourself by speaking in such a way that doesn't respect yourself. Pretend that they're going to go back and tell your mama, and don't talk to them or act in any kind of way that would disrespect you or those that you would want to have respect for you.
Right. Like I say, I agree with that too. So that's for the guys. Just make sure that you're respectful. Gary, did you have something you want to say real quick? You got to unmute though, brother. You got you on mute right now. I'll push a button to try to get you to unmute. There should be a button popping up. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just a few things. Well, one, I appreciate you putting this together. One thing I'm noticing though, it seems like half the people on here, they're not on camera. And I'm not saying that to get on anybody. I'm saying that because I think even before the pandemic, we were not as sociable as we could be. And I think the pandemic made it even much worse. And I just think we're not as sociable and outgoing, and we don't even realize it. And I think that affects a lot of people just being able to meet, get together, interact, even when we're in the same spaces sometimes. But I think an example like this would be good. I mean, I just came in from working out. I'm not looking my best, whatever, but I got on camera. I think it's good for everybody to get on camera. I mean, because that's part of us being able to see each other and interact. That's one thing. Another thing is, you know, you guys were talking earlier about men initiating things and things like that. And it's funny because I had a conversation with a woman about that some weeks ago. And I was telling her about a conversation a friend of mine and I had. And like, I think some women feel like we look at them as too aggressive or non-ladylike if they initiate things or what have you. But he and I were talking and we were saying that we realized since junior high school, we've been having to be the initiators. And sometimes I'll be honest, we're just tired. We don't feel like it. I mean, I've been in spaces where I can tell a woman's interested in me, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel like initiating. And I've had situations where I've met a woman and maybe we exchanged numbers and I thought I was going to call her, but then I said for different reasons or whatever, I didn't. But she ended up texting me and we ended up talking and we ended up dating. But truth be told, I wasn't going to call her just because different reasons how I was feeling or what have you. But she initiated something that wasn't major. She texted me. She had my number or what have you. So I guess part of what I'm saying is, you know, when we're talking about positioning and initiation, I mean, me and my age, I mean, I got grown kids. I've been, you know, I've dated, I've been married. So I know how to approach a woman. I know how to talk to a woman. I know how to date a woman. I know how to court a woman. But sometimes we appreciate a woman that takes a certain initiative, you know, with certain tact and so forth, because that tells us, number one, if we did get together, we don't have to initiate everything all the time. You know, sometimes we like to be felt appreciated. And we just, you know, it's kind of cool. It's nice to feel wanted. So that's just, you know, my perspective on it. And I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Well, thank you so much for that. And thanks again for, you know, encouraging people to get on camera. Because we're constantly, you know, trying to get people to get on camera. And like I said, a lot of people don't understand. We have had people to find their person by being on camera. You know, and a picture, like I say, we do encourage a picture if you can't do anything else. Because we do recognize things happen and stuff like that. You might have to answer the door, you might be eating. But when you're on camera, people see you in 3D and you're not catfishing. And so people kind of get a little weird when you're not on camera. And so it's just another way, because like I say, our goal is to help you find your person, you know, and we got to do everything. But take that back. We're trying to do a lot of things, but it's like the whole concept of, you know, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So we can have all these great ideas, you know, people can discuss lots of great ideas, but then if you don't do the idea, then how's that helping? You know, you're just coming and hanging out. And it's always interesting to me, you know, like I say, people buy these books and they watch these people forever and ever and ever. And what really should be happening for half of these people that are supposed to be these dating coaches, they should not be really gaining more followers. They should be losing them. That should be success, because now these people are married and they don't need a singles coach anymore. But yet they're growing. But anyway, let's go to Margaret, or I see Margaret's picture.
Well, Jay, you know, I told you why I'm not on camera. But anyway, I was just going to say something that you said that made me think the other day, and even last night you said it. If we keep doing the same things that we've always done as women, because I'm one of the women that I think a man should approach me. And I'm trying to move away from that. And Sean kind of pointed that out last night when he was walking me to my car. And this woman, is amazing how this woman, she said to this man, she said, "Hey, good looking." As he was walking by her, he stopped in his track. And they stood there and they talked for, I don't know how long. They were still talking when we left. So Sean brought out that. See how she got his attention just by that simple compliment. So some of us women do have to get out of our comfort zone, even though the men have to get out of theirs, but we have to get out of ours as well, because you're single now because you're not trying anything different. So I just wanted to bring that forward.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Like I said, I mean, I think, you know, you don't have to do it all the time. You can do it. Like you said, you can initiate. You could just initiate by saying something like, "Ooh, I love your cologne," or, you know, or something like that, you know, something that's totally natural, and you would have said it for a woman. So sometimes it can definitely work that way. I also want to talk about what Darlene said, which again, trying to really get this point, I think she said it very well. In the chat, she said positioning is different from initiating. Because I think what happens a lot of times when we talk about CSC, a lot of the women think that we're encouraging them to initiate. And that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is putting, what Darlene says right here, putting yourself in a good position allows a man to initiate it like it's supposed to be. Okay, it doesn't mean you cannot speak first or give a compliment, but you're basically, like I say, putting yourself in position. Tawana is just like the very first video. Tawana, you're not going to find your man. I mean, your man ain't going to be like looking through your blinds, looking through your window, and then knock on your window and be like, yo, girl, what's up? My name is so-and-so. I know you're a good Christian woman. Let me, get in your life. It don't work that way. Okay. And if he's looking through your window, you're going to be calling the police. So
I'm on Amazon.
Yeah, they don't sell them on Amazon. So the only way you're going to get them is you got to get out. But the best thing for you to do is when you get out, like I said, you can get out and say, I'm going to yoga. As soon as you walk into the yoga class, it's like 99% women. And women do this. Y'all go from safe place to safe place to safe place to safe place. And when you do that constantly, you're not positioning yourself. And then we love to get on these situations and be mad. Wait a minute, because you will go to like a jazz event like we did last night, and then maybe a guy doesn't approach you, but then the rest of your time you are going from safe place to safe place to safe place to safe place. So you got to do stuff even without CSC. Like I said, you can join forces. I know for Tawana it's a little bit different. She's not in Atlanta. But, for some of the other ladies, like I said, be friends. I mean, Tashawn is a nice person. She might be willing to go out with you. She likes to do a lot of wonderful things. But before I get to you, Tashawn, I know Jocelyn had her hand up earlier. She did take it down, but I just wanted to make sure. Did you have something you wanted to say? No, your hand was up. I mean, I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to address first in one slide, you said one of the things that was picky about a man's speech, and Tara kind of addressed that. I'm very serious about how a man speaks to me, especially if people approaches me, hey, sexy, hey, thickness, stuff like that. That makes me want to throw up. But I will say I caution people to not judge a person about the way they dress, because I disagree on something she said where you look at a woman the way she dresses before you approach her to see, if she's a Christian. I have a friend who's also a Christian. I'm very serious about my faith. I have a friend who's a Christian where she's up to here with turtlenecks, A-line dresses and stuff like that. If I have a hint of cleavage showing, or if I wear my pencil skirt that's kind of form-fitting, she's like, wait a minute, what's up with that? Just because I dress a certain way doesn't mean I'm serious. I'm not serious about my faith. So I just caution people to not judge a person based on how they dress. So if I dress a certain way, which means I don't dress like a hooker or anything like that, I just caution people. Don't judge people on how they dress. Okay, she dressed like that, she must not be saved. I can approach her any kind of way because she might get your feelings hurt. So that's all.
Okay, no, I'm with you. But I think what the core of what I gather from what Tara and what Tashawn was saying, and I agree with, is that, approaching people with respect. Like for me, and again, this is a really good, actually what you brought up was really good because it kind of goes to what the presentation was saying, even though, it wasn't direct, but it's kind of indirect. Like for me, if I run into a woman that has her cleavage out, and when I say cleavage out, because there's so many different definitions of that. She has her cleavage to the point where it literally if I tapped, somebody barely tapped her, shook her a little bit, them bad boys will pop out. Okay. So if a woman is like that, that's a different type of cleavage than just a little bit right here. Okay.
No, I'm not talking about that. No,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So a woman that's just showing a little bit, versus a woman that you like, dang, how they staying in there.
But I have Christian friends who think just a tiny bit. I'm not even talking about actually showing it. You can just see down. Okay, wait. You can tell she got boobs down there. Okay, that's harlotry right there.
Well, yeah,
you see what I'm saying? So you just don't know how people think.
Well, I mean, my point to it is, and this is more for the guys, but the women can translate. If I run into a woman, and we've seen them in Atlanta, where they really walking around in a bikini, even though it might be the fact that they have on jeans, because they got jeans now that are fully holy. I mean, like they ain't nothing but holes. And you can literally see 95% of her skin. If I even walked up to a woman like that or got close to a woman like that, a woman was standing behind me in a grocery line and she could be absolutely stunning, I would not talk to her. Because in my mind, she does not look like a woman that I can, as Tashawn talked about, take home to my mama, bring home in a respectful way. And that's the same thing, like I would tell guys, like I say, in this particular conversation we had today, I don't consider that to be a good woman for me. But that is understanding what is before you. And so if for, you and Tara Ann, if a guy comes up and he's like, hey, sexy, what you got going on? You could just be like right there, like, no, I'm not talking to you. And that's my point. The point is knowing the bad guys. If you know who the bad guys are, then you know how to get with the good guys. But you also have to check yourself, because some people are extremely sensitive, kind of like what you were saying, Jocelyn, where a guy might come up and he might say, hey, pretty lady, I really like your hair. And then some women get offended. Oh, why am I a pretty lady? And you laugh, but there are women out there like that. They're absolutely like that. They're extremely sensitive over everything. And when, and I know for me, if I run into a woman like that, I'm just like, well, you're just too sensitive. So I can't be around you, but again, they're kind of telling on themselves, before it is. So, but the point is, you're looking for the person that kind of has the energy that you have. And if they don't, it's not that you have to be disrespectful to them. You just don't connect with them, and then you move on. And for the guy that, the lady was like, hey, good looking, whatever, they connect that way. That's how they talk, because it worked, and so you just kind of have to let it go. Sorry, Tashawn, for making you wait. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. And yeah, I agree, Jocelyn. That's why I was saying, regardless of how somebody shows up, you should respect yourself enough to treat everybody with respect. It should not be a thing where people have to earn common decency. That should just be something that you do out of respect for yourself, and if you are Christian, out of respect for your faith walk. But and that's for men and women, because sometimes women feel like they can say things, especially if they don't like somebody. Even if they do approach them the right way, their response can be less than charitable. So either way, but I think just one thing that was mentioned, and I'd love to see it in the chat where people are connecting, but we've had people in the group that have gotten on the meetup and said, oh, I'm going to go to this event, or I'm going to go biking, or I'm going to go walk Stone Mountain. Anybody want to go? So you can always reach out in the group, and people that are in your area, they'll say, oh yeah, I live in that area, I'll go with you, or we can, hang out or what have you. So you're always welcome to do that. It's a lot of people in the group. Some only show up to the in-person things, and some only show up to the online things. But if there's something that you're doing that they're interested in, and you're like, I really want to do this, but I don't want to go by myself, there's always that option to put it out there. We unfortunately can't do everything as the leaders. So that is an option for anybody that's in the group to put on the meetup that they want to do X in the comments area, and people will respond. Or, whenever we're on, if there's something, you can do that as well. The other thing I just wanted to touch on was this thing about scarcity. The fact about the psychology of people is that when there's more, it's an issue. When things are easier, it's an issue. The reason why we talk about how good things were with our parents and our grandparents and stuff like that was because they had to get married. They had to choose based on need, not want. And those are the two things that are hurting us the most, is that we so focused on what we want and God focuses on what we need. We're so focused on all of our options. We got FOMO like real bad. And so the fewer options you have, the more you're inclined to look at, okay, well, how can I make this work? But if you have a lot of options, you're like, oh, I'm on to the next one. I don't need to deal with this. I don't have to deal with this. So you see more divorces. You see more people that are friend zoned, that are great men or women, but they're not chosen because I could do better. I want to upgrade, all of these things. So if it was in fact not enough, there would be more choosing and more staying together, because you would be, just like musical chairs, you're going to choose the chair that's available. You're not going to sit there and take the chance that you're going to miss having a chair to sit in. But you see so many chairs that you like, it's a better chair. It's going to be a softer chair, a more comfortable chair, a bigger, it's going to be something better coming. So I'm going to hold out for what I really want, instead of focusing on what you need to fulfill your purpose in God. So I think that it's just refocusing on, am I looking for the right things? Am I doing the right thing? And the positioning for the men specifically, and I usually don't speak directly to either sex, but for the men specifically, the reason why women like men to approach is because it's the first indication of what type of leader you are. Because you're initiating, you're putting yourself forward, you're showing that you are assertive. Now, it's not necessary, it's not a have to, but that's the reason why women look for that. You can show it in other ways. It's not the only way you can do it, but just to make the point that it's not a laziness thing, or like you got to do all the work, because both people have to do work for a relationship to be healthy and successful and productive. But there's reasons why things are, kind of desired or looked for. And that's the reason why women look for that. That's it. That's all my comments.
That was good, Deshaun. And as you're saying that, I'm going to add to it, and we're going to get on the guys a little bit later. We got the alpha video coming up. That's one of the main ones for the men, since, like I said, Tawana was getting on me about, you don't do nothing about the men. You ain't talking to the men. Well, we're going to talk to the men. We're going to get on the men. And like the first thing I'm going to say to echo to Sean, since we have this moment, is, like I said, and y'all have heard me say this before, I'm sick and tired of y'all guys being cheap. If you ain't got no money, I'm sorry, you might need to do some investing. You might need to get another job. You might need to go back to school. But the reason why I'm saying this is you don't have to have a lot of money. A lot of women are not looking for you to have a lot of money. I've said this a million times before, but if you can't pay for 3 dates, if you go out with a woman over the course of a month and you can't take her out 3 times to a restaurant that you have chosen, okay, then you don't need to be dating. Okay, and that sounds, really small, but I know the women, even though they ain't saying nothing, they're like, yes, please. Thank you, Jay, for saying that. Oh God, I'm so sick of going half. Okay, there's no way in the world I would go half on first couple of dates. That's insulting to me as a man, and most men should feel that is insulting to them. That is basically saying that you cannot take care of yourself and you cannot take care of the woman. Now, I'm not saying you got to do it forever. Okay, but we need to get away from these types of things and be better around. And like I say, I'll got on the women a little bit today, but I do think the information can be translated to men as well, like I said. But men, just like, Tashawn said, women are looking for certain things. Women generally are looking for what we talk about all the time: a protector, a provider, and a leader. All right, Sean, see you later. And those 3 things are very important to women, is what they're very attracted to. Same thing for us. We don't talk to ugly women. Okay. I've talked to the women about that. Looking your best. Okay. I'm sorry, ladies, if that hurts your feelings. We generally do not like to talk to unattractive women. However, attractiveness is different for every man. Okay. And like I said today in the presentation, every woman is attractive, okay? Especially to the type of man that likes you. Okay, so we don't need to get into that. The next thing is how sweet a woman is. That is very addictive to men. Men love a woman who is a nice person. And what does nice mean? It doesn't mean just nice to him. It means nice, period. So if I'm hanging out with Tashawn and she's basically like, oh, well, yeah, Joseph, you're cool, but, Gary, oh, man, he's a jerk and, blah, blah, blah. And I dated him and, and he didn't know how to be nice to me and blah, blah, blah. Then I'm thinking in the back of my mind, Tashawn, you just, she's not like that. Y'all know Tashawn's a nice person. But when you talk like that, you don't know where I've been through in my life. And I've tried to tell y'all might not see it or understand it, but I'm still an intellectual. I'm still pretty much a nerd. I still struggle, to a decent amount with women. When I was in high school, I did not have a girlfriend. Okay, I went on like 2 dates, and one of my dates wanted to talk to my best friend. So no, I mean, I've been through some stuff. Okay, so I say all of this and be vulnerable in that way to let you ladies know, if you're sitting around talking about a man and you're like, oh, I had him buy me this and I had him do this, and even though you're looking at me now, I could be empathizing with the very guy that you're talking about. Okay, so men really do like it when you are a nice person. And then the thing after that is to be supportive of his hopes and his dreams. And the truth is, we both kind of like, that energy in each other. But it's important, for women. I hear guys say that all the time, women are supportive, they're not supportive. And it's very important to be supportive. I mean, if you can't do nothing else, you'd be like, oh, baby, your art looks so interesting today. Just keep going. I mean, you can try to be positive. You don't have to be negative, so that's all I'm saying is, those are the types of things that I definitely encourage the ladies to do. But guys, I am not going to let you guys get away with not paying for 3 dates. It bothers me to the core. I think we have this society that is trying to make men lazy. And I always say this all the time, if I'm hanging out, like I see Keeper up there, running, but if we're hanging out with LeBron James, and this is just being real, or hanging out with another millionaire, Kanye West or Jay-Z or whoever it is that you like, okay, and he comes up to a woman and he's taking her out, he ain't gonna be like, can we go half? He gonna not only take care of her meal, shoot, he might take care of everybody in the restaurant. And what does that make him look like? It makes him look like the man, because he can take care of everybody. But when men pop up and they're like, can we go have, y'all strong black women and y'all strong women and y'all this, and can we go have? It make you look like a loser. I'm just being real. If you can look at LeBron James and say, hey, him paying for the whole restaurant makes him look like the man, then you not even being able to pay for 2 meals makes you look the opposite. I'm just saying. We're going to go into more about that in a couple of weeks, but just saying. Come on, Patricia. I muted you, so you're going to have to unmute yourself.
I think you guys hit on it, and I was just trying to hold it. But I think what gets me sometimes, and I understand that we talked about things about how men, but I really feel, and the men can speak to that, and I just want to know, and maybe you hit on it, I really feel like like I've seen men that really liked certain women and they approached them. So I'm like, I feel like a man, if he really wants to talk to you and go after you, they do it. It's like some men just do it. And it's like, okay. And I think for me, it's frustrating to me because I'm like, I see these guys and I'm like, oh, they just went up to this lady and they just, shoot the shot, and maybe they got rejected. I don't know what the case may be, but I really still feel like when guys really want a woman, they will go after them. They would approach them. And I think for me, what I guess shies me or down or away is like, that's what I believe now. It may be untruth, but that's what I believe, because I just think about, what's the difference between like when you were out of the world, when you were in the clubs and you did this, you would go up to the women. But now that you got saved, it's like all of a sudden, like our guys, the guys became, and I don't want to offend anybody, but weak or like no, like shy. And I'm like, okay, you got a Holy Spirit in you. You should be able to, if you did it then what's up now? And that's just my comment. And I just like to hear from the guys. And like, I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that's just kind of the way I feel about how things are rolling out right now in the dating scene.
Well, like I said, I don't have anything against you. I'll let more guys talk to it. What I'm saying is I'm trying to get women to widen their pool. Again, you have to understand my purpose here and my goals here is to get women and men to widen their pool. Every man has gone through something different. Like Sean Williams, I don't think Sean Williams is on today, but Sean Williams knows, and Tashawn knows, because she's heard me say this, and Donna's heard me say this, and a lot of the other leaders have heard me say this. I have to get better about my approach, about approaching women. They've heard me say this. People who've been around CSC have heard me say this multiple times, because I've said I am not good at it. I don't have the skills to do it. So what I do is I have a strategy, just like I encourage, women to have strategies. And I do different strategies to try to get close to women, to talk to them. But I don't have, like I said, that direct ability. You say, oh, well, back in the club, you would have. No, I would not have. That has never happened.
Gotcha.
And so you have to realize, again, the media pushes the fact that every man is doing it. And what I'm telling you is about 50 to 60% of men have never done it, ever.
Right.
And the problem is that as men and women go through and they start to get married and different things like that, what happens is a lot of the shyer, quieter guys get overlooked. And a lot of the guys who are like that, those are the ones that women see. Those are the ones, like Tashawn said, is very attractive to them. And so when those men see that power, because it's power. And so what happens is, as men see this power, they have the power over the woman, they just having fun at that point, especially if they've had their kids and already been married once. So you meet a guy that's 45, 50, he done had 2 kids, and I got friends like this, that he's had 2 kids, he thinks he's decently attractive. Now he knows he has a wider age range of women who will talk to him. He can go down 10 years, up 5 years. He knows how to talk to them, smell good. All he doing is just having sex at that point. But those guys, they just gonna do what they gonna do. So, not to say all guys that talk like that are bad, because some of them are not. But I'm trying to get you all to widen your pool a little bit. And if you can look at me, a person that can be in front of 60 people today and talk, and people have seen me out and about and they see how I am, and I can literally tell you that I'm shy, then you can see that you can have a guy who's extremely assertive, who has done all these major things, but he has this one area in his life where he has just not figured it out. And so I don't want you to throw those men away.
Right.
Okay. But again, I don't want you to be with no loser. If he's picking his nose and he's looking at the ground and he's like, you so cute. I like you. I will go date with you. No. You need to leave that dude alone. So we don't need no losers. Okay. We need to call them what they are, because people are like, oh, I don't want no nice guy. No, nice guy. We should not use that term. The guy's a loser. I know it hurts to say that, but, we got to kind of be real with it a little bit, because if a guy's a loser, yes, I want you to leave him alone. But if a guy is a good guy, he just happens to need a little prompting, then that's the guy I kind of want you guys to at least consider. That's all I'm saying. But I do agree with Tashawn that it is better if we as guys learn to approach. And I am trying to do that myself. And I am trying to get more of the guys to be better about that as well.
So let me just say this right quick. I do want to be clear that even though men are made to pursue and all of that stuff, rejection is rejection and nobody likes it. So it's hard. I mean, what Gary was talking about earlier, it's hard to be, if you can think about what men go through, having to go through rejection, and it's just like, that's just, it just because they're used to it or they have to do it doesn't mean that it's not hard. Because when women get rejected, we lose our minds because we're not used to getting rejected. So if you can imagine men going through that much, much more often. So don't think that they don't care or it doesn't affect them. It does. And so that's why I said about, being kind and speaking properly, because even if you're not interested, there's a way of going about it. But the other thing, going back to what you were saying, Patricia, is how somebody maybe approach people in the club and all of that stuff before they got saved may not be how they want to do it moving forward. And unfortunately, as we've talked about many times, the church does not have a class on how to approach people once you get saved or how to,
right.
They don't do that. So you're like, okay, I want to, do right, be right. But what was successful for me was not what I would do now. So where does that leave you? So you got to give some grace on both sides.
Yeah, I mean, I do get that. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not like that. It's just something that's been like in my crawl, and I just wanted to have a conversation with you guys and get feedback. So, like I said, so the mindset, it's a renewing of my mind, of course. And but yeah, I just kind of just want to get that spin on that. And sounds like we are having classes on how to date out, when you become a Christian. I think that's going on right now. And so I appreciate what all you guys are doing, and I appreciate the conversation.
All right, that sounds cool. I mean, I think next time, maybe the guy can come up to you and be like, wow, that the Holy Spirit that's on you. That Holy Spirit girl, it looks so good, We gotta.
Thank you for sharing, Patricia. Go ahead, Tim.
Come on, Tim.
Wow, it's amazing. You were just mentioning rejection. Yeah, this is kind of funny, but it's not funny. But I have my own thoughts on this, and I could have just passed the moment, but I really have to bring this up. I'm kind of shy, but I'm not as shy as I used to be. But I remember like 3 years ago, I was at this restaurant that had a bar in it. And I was sitting in the bar area, not at the bar, but I was, I had a little rum and Coke. And I went up to the bar, and there was a woman there. And then there was like 3 seats that were blank. And then there was some men. So I thought, So I'm thinking, I went up there and I kind of took my glass off like that and said, well, how are you this evening? And she looked at me and said, you're trying too hard. I mean, that was obviously, too well thought out. And I thought, oh, so I put the glasses back on. I just kind of like backed off. And I just kind of left, went to the restaurant. Now, if the woman had said, oh, honey, you don't have to try so hard. I mean, you're looking good or something like that. I could have laughed and said, well, I had a speck in my glasses. And she said, yeah, sure. You were just trying to impress me. That would have been fine. But the fact that she said, that you're trying too hard, that hurt. So it took me like maybe 3 or 4 weeks before I was able to even dare or try to approach. It was like, I just thought, I guess, and again, it's maybe my fault. I saw it in a movie once. The guy took off his glasses and showed his eyes, because I thought, that would look good. I said, hello, how are you this evening? And I put the glasses on, but I've learned to keep the damn glasses on. Don't do that again, because obviously I made a fool of myself. But maybe it was just that situation. Maybe somebody else would have acted differently, but I got to be careful. I don't know. I don't want to seem awkward or unconfident or something, and insecure. But again, I guess I just should walk up with my glasses on, not do anything like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm still learning. I'm, I'm an older man. I'm still got a lot to learn. I sometimes don't know what to do. What's right, what's not right. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Okay, Rochelle. Thank you, Tim.
Hey, no, I just wanted to add, I completely agree with what you said a lot earlier about the Ruth and the Bible book, not the verse, and being strategic. But I also wanted to talk about kind of the other side of the spectrum, which I feel like has worked for me in terms of just like speaking to people, especially in meetup groups, is for me, when I come out, I think of every guy there as almost like my brother or my friend. And so I'm not thinking like who I'm looking, for or whatever, because like one of the brothers said, like he wasn't in a mode of wanting to date at that, when he was out. And then other people might have a mate, other people might be a narcissist. So I'm not necessarily looking as much as I'm just like friendly with whoever and just being friendly and thinking, let me talk to him as if he was my brother. And so I feel like I take the edge off that way. And I'm just generally friendly. And then, once you're in that conversation, when a guy is interested, then he will take care of the rest. Or, you'll find you go home and you'll have some messages in your meetup message box, So I think, it depends on what, how you feel or what season you're in. But I think sometimes it just might be like you go to an event and you're just like, look, I'm just going to have fun and meet friends. And you speak to the women, you speak to the men. And it doesn't have to have all that pressure. So I just wanted to add that.
Well, thank you for that. And honestly, what Rochelle just said is kind of one of the things that we do encourage with CSC, because a lot of times people come out, and we've had this, like I said, multiple times, where people come out and one of the first things they want to do is just really find their person and zip and be gone. And we don't really encourage that. We encourage you just to come out, hang out, get to know us. Like I say, let us be your wing person if you need it. And also, like Rochelle said, kind of be friends, because that's a really great way to know whether or not the guy or woman is a great person. You're seeing them in action. You're seeing them how they, respond to other people. You're seeing, how they deal with, maybe one or two stresses of dealing with traffic, on the way to, the group outing, whatever it is. And it's just a really great way, to kind of meet people. Now hopefully Rochelle is not going to put guys too deep into the friend zone where they try to talk to her. And then she's like, well, I see you as a brother. But I don't think that's what she was saying. So, I'm just joking on her a little bit. But come on, Gary. Got on mute. There you go. You got it? You want me to press the button? Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it. I got to figure out how to do it. I'm on my phone. I usually do it on my computer. Sorry. Yeah, something also, just back to the whole thing about the approach and initiation. And it just reminded me of something. I had a conversation with a woman a few years ago. It was a real long, in-depth conversation, too, about the whole thing of someone initiating and so forth, and why she said she didn't do it and so forth. And somebody just spoke of something that we talked about in that conversation about the whole rejection thing. And she was honest. She was like, no, I don't really do it anymore because, I got rejected one time and it made me feel really bad and so forth. And see, the thing about that is, and to be honest, right? Like somebody said earlier, nobody likes to feel rejected or what have you. But when it's always on the man to put himself out there to be vulnerable to possible rejection. So, sometimes that's part of it also. And I'll say it from the other way around, where I've been in a situation where I've rejected women and somebody said it. Like she kind of lost her mind. It's been more than one of them. And it's like, I'm not expected to do that if you reject me, but I reject you and it's a major problem. And so that's kind of part of it also. Maybe sometimes guys just feel like, especially if you're not getting the right signals or cues or what have you, like I said, I put in the chat, sometimes I'm out someplace just chilling, I might be at a concert or what have you. And I see groups of women and it seems like one thing I know, they're all not married or whatever. But they're so into their girlfriends, they're oblivious to anything else that's happening around them, so they're not positioning, as someone else was saying, to even be, engaged in a conversation. So, things like that, that contributes to, just the lack of, guys initiating things or interacting or what have you, or like we were saying in the chat, the right signals, the right cues. Because I mean, by now, just being a mature man, I know what it's like. I know I can see when a woman's interested in me, and then sometimes you don't know. So it's times when I have just put myself out there when I didn't get any eye contact or what have you, and come to find out she was interested in me, but she was just shy or what have you. But so that's just, that's part of it also.
Yeah, love that. That was good. Come on, Kibri. Can you unmute while you're running?
Yeah, I can. I might be out of breath. Yeah, so I don't know. I have a lot of different thoughts on this. I've always looked at rejection as a positive thing, honestly. I've never let the fear of rejection stop me from going for what I want. And honestly, I always think of it as, she's not really rejecting me personally. She doesn't know me. This is a complete stranger. There's so many reasons why she just might not be interested. Maybe it could be the way I look. Maybe it could be my skin tone. Maybe it could be how tall I am. But at the end of the day, she really doesn't know me, right? I would look at it as she rejects my offer, right? Because once you actually get to know me, that's where it's more, I guess, more personal, right? But when I'm just out and about, you have to think of it from her perspective. She literally doesn't know me. I could be a criminal. There's so many things that could be a risk. So I don't take it negatively. I always take it as a positive thing because, at the end of the day, if your goal is to get married, asking someone out is a very small step. There's going to be so many bigger challenges in a relationship than simply approaching a woman. And you really have to be confident in yourself and push yourself so that these little small, minute things don't stop you. Because you got to look at the end goal. And that end goal should be worth it.
I love that. I love that.
That was so mature, Kabir. If you was a little bit older, Kabir. That's a little bit old.
I try to tell people, man, we got some good folk. I can't wait to meet his wife. Y'all gotta he gotta invite us to the wedding. Try to tell y'all maturity and about age. His parents just did a good job.